Tune into the king of songs and blues.
Olaladimi Ashake.
Come up with talk, I don't be killer. This your level getting me for my body. I want light man, with my lighter. This your color, no be fake, oh my mommy. My banana, oh my banana, don't chop my banana. Show me power, oh Nicoa, and let me love my life. It's my like, my Sudana. Cause you dey amazing, your body amazing, don't be late, don't keep me waiting, you're procrastinating, terminator, don't get agreement, do not terminating, Mirai no, idale kamora no, fada mokai no, fami mora baby, you can share my no, I'm a petty great at no, you my village, Mr. Money more available. Give me my cross, my available. Give me my baby, go kada. I deliver still banana, oh my banana. Go chop my banana. Show me power, go Nicoa. And let me love my life. It's my like, my Sultana. Cause you dey amazing, your body amazing, don't be late, don't keep me waiting, no procrastinating, terminator, don't get agreement, do not terminating, Give me fuck you up for. Can't you kill it. If you no go mind, make I be on my door. If you go know, must have me the slow
Tune into the king of songs and blues.
All right. So welcome everyone. Good morning. Like I said, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on wherever it is you're joining us from. Please confirm that you can hear me. If you can hear me, just drop an emoji in the chat box or a reaction. Fantastic. Great. All right. Okay. So welcome everyone to today's Data Analytics Masterclass session. I'm super excited to have each and every one of you join us. Okay. So just to know where you're coming from, to get to know where you're joining us from, you're tuning into us. Okay. So drop your location. I'm currently in Nigeria, the Republic of Delta. So I'd like to know where you're all joining from. Okay. Benin City, fantastic, Omololu. Balumi is joining from Canada, welcome. Doris, Abuja, fantastic. England, Lagos, Ekiti. Most of our Nigerians are here. That's awesome. It's good to see Africans stepping up to the new tech. Okay, welcome, Kazim. Kazim is from Lagos. Jamaica, fantastic. Okay, so as I can see here, we are like from different parts of the world, and it's definitely amazing that you are here on this session. Okay, so please give me a minute to share my screen, and then we can kickstart the session. All right, fantastic. Okay, so today we are attending the Data Analytics Masterclass, okay? So, but if this is your first time joining us, you probably don't know what Analytics is all about or what we represent, okay? So Analytics is an educational technological firm, and we engage or we help our Africans, especially people in the Black community, all right, and across the globe, to transition smoothly into tech, okay? We ensure that you gain necessary skills needed for you to transition into the tech space, all right? And our services range from the data analytics program, the business analytics, data engineering, data science, financial analytics, HR analytics, and we train you in these areas in order for you to help other organizations or to help your organization make well and informed decision. Okay, so the world is data driven as it is right now, and a lot of companies are largely depending on data to make decisions to help them grow. Okay, so we help you gain those necessary skills that you need in order for you to help companies, in order for you to help organizations to make better informed decisions, okay? Because data is the new language, all right? And without the use of data, you literally would be making guesses, okay? So we help you make sense of data and for you to transition smoothly into the tech space. And our facilitators are top experts in the field who have experience, over 5 years experience or up to a decade experience in the field, and they would be taking you through the journey. And some of them have worked in places like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, PwC, Deloitte. So they have a wealth of experience, which they would be channeling or to communicating their own experiences to you to help you transition smoothly into the tech space. Okay, and all our courses are to give you optimum value to help you make those informed decisions necessary to help the company to grow, to move to a next level. All right, so without Analytics would literally not exist without these two persons that you're seeing right on my screen. Okay, so they are our founder and our co-founder. Our founder Adeza Suleiman and our co-founder Ifemina Ipru. Now, these are people who came together, okay, with their wealth of experience, their knowledge, and felt it necessary, okay, to coin up something that would help the Black community, especially, to transition smoothly into the tech space, to help you grow, to help you get that dream job, because tech is the new oil. Without these people's dreams, Analytics would not exist. Our founder, Adeza Suleiman, is a top expert in the data analytics field and has over 8 years experience in the field and has trained over 8,500 participants. Likewise, our co-founder, Ifemina Ipro, who has a master's degree in data analytics and is also a fantastic data scientist, okay? So these are the people behind Analytics. They are the brain behind Analytics. And without them, literally, Analytics would not exist, okay? So over the past few years, I mean, especially in 2022, we've had a wealth of achievements. Okay, so it is not enough to just tell, we're not just telling you that, oh, we do this, we do that, and there's nothing to show for it. Now we are going to look at how far we've come and what we've been able to achieve over the past years. All right, so in just 2022 alone, we've helped over 500 persons transition from having no experience, having zero knowledge about tech, having like not come across tech anywhere at all, to transition into the tech space, to get jobs across the world, in the UK, in the US, in Canada, in Asia, okay? So we've helped people to transition smoothly into tech, especially people in the Black community, all right? It doesn't matter wherever you are, as long as, okay, you are keyed into us. We've assisted over 500 persons to transition into the tech space. Now, some of our participants, right, have worked in top organizations, as you can see on the screen: PwC, Unilever, Globe Mobile, First Bank Africa, Cadbury, P&G. Now, these are notable organizations that we've helped our participants to gain jobs into. Okay, so you can see that we know our onions, we know what we're doing, and we are definitely the best at the game. Okay, and like I mentioned, over the past few years, we've also channeled and keyed into helping people to fully settle into the tech role. Okay, so we've helped Africans across 4 continents land tech jobs, and we've been featured on Business Day, as you can see here. Not to worry, the material will be made available to you after the session. That's for those who stay to the very end of the session. You would get access to the recording and also to the material. So you get to see what we have been able to achieve, okay? So we've also helped participants, or we've helped people to win up to 1 million naira in our last hackathon. All right. Now this hackathon is something we hold annually, and we've helped a lot of persons who keyed into it, not just to learn, but they've been able to earn up to 1 million naira. The first 5 persons had the sum of 1 million naira handed over to them. Okay. So we've also helped women through our program. We sponsored 300 women here into the tech space. So we're in the business of helping you grow. We're in the business of helping you transition. So most persons want to leave the country, or some persons want to transition from their current jobs into the tech space, but they don't know how. They don't know what procedures or what skills are available. Now that is where Analytics comes in. This is what we do. We help you to gain those necessary skills that would help you to transition in the tech space. And with that, you would be able to land jobs, just like some of our participants, like you've seen, have been able to. And much later into the session, so you get to hear some of our participants who are taking part in our program, also get to hear their wealth of experience as well, okay? So we are definitely good at what we do, and certainly if you stay with us, stick with us, you definitely get the best. So what would we be doing today? We'd be working on a case study using Power BI in order for you to get a feel of what it is to be a data analyst, all right? Right after, we'll be taking you through what it takes to become a data analyst. It's not just enough for you to get the skill. What else do you need to add to your skill in order to land a job? Okay, we'll be taking you through that process today as well. Much later, we'll also be talking about our upcoming program, which is starting on the 5th of August. And finally, our success stories, all right? So if you are excited about today's session, if you are happy to be here, if you are ready to join into the session, do send in an emoji, send in a reaction. Okay, so I'm seeing on my screen that some people say they can't hear me. If you can hear me, please use the raise hand emoji or sending an emoji into the chat box. Okay, fantastic. So are we excited about today's session? Just drop an emoji, drop a reaction. Yes, yes, fantastic. Great. All right, Cynthia is ready. Okay, so I would be calling our founder, our very, very own founder, our fantastic founder, Adeza Suleiman, and he would be taking us through the rest of the session. Adeza, welcome.
Thank you very much for that, Joan. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. I can see we have people from across the globe, from Canada, British Columbia, and so many other countries, Jamaica. Somebody paid to be in our program from Jamaica, and I was super excited. I think that's the first time I'm seeing, getting a participant from Jamaica. So it's absolutely fantastic. Good to have all of you join us today. And we'll be looking into solving practical real-life exercise today. All right. Okay, that's Edwards, Jamaica, repping Jamaica all the way. Good to have you, Edwards. Join the session today. And I'll be showing you what you need to know to get started as a data analyst, irrespective of where you are. Okay. So what you need to become a data analyst, to get into the space, and to get a job anywhere across the globe. All right. So I'll walk you through that. We'll work on a case study, a real life case study, and everybody on the call would work together to solve that problem together. Okay. And then the second phase would involve we discussing, and I'll show you every single thing you need to learn. All right. Step by step to become a data analyst. And I would introduce you to our program, the program we have upcoming on the 5th of August, and some of our success stories as well. All right, so let's get into it immediately. Somebody asked if she could become a lecturer within 3 months. All right. So one of the things I always love to say just before we jump into our session today is in the university, and what you get to learn in university, most of the time, 90% of the time is theoretical. So you're writing research papers, you're writing articles, publishing articles without really solving real life problems. Okay. So to become a lecturer, what you need to do is you probably have to get a postgraduate degree, a master's degree, or a PhD to start looking into that space. So it's not really about the skills you have, it's about the articles you published, having a postgraduate degree or a PhD, and so on and so forth. But let's dive into our session today. I'm super excited to have everybody here. And I would want us to keep the session as interactive as possible. So if you have questions, please feel free at any point in time to ask your question. Send your question into the chat, and then I'll be very happy to take your questions eventually. We'll have a Q&A just before we wrap up, all right? And then I'll ensure that I answer as many questions. But before I start, I want to also find out if this is the first time, if you've joined a Analytics masterclass before, type a yes into the chat. If you joined one of our masterclasses either last week or the week before or last month or the beginning of the year, just type in a yes into the chat, okay? Just type in a yes into the chat because I'd love to know. Fantastic, so many people. Okay, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Good to have you join us again one more time, all right? And today we are solving a practical problem, okay? And like I mentioned, we would all look at the problem together and get it solved. So let's look at what the problem is all about before we dive into the case study. So just to confirm that you can all see my screen, and please, if you have your video on, just please put it off for the duration of this session. When you're asking questions later on, if you want to put on your video, that'll be perfectly fine. But so that we don't distract others who would like to participate. Okay, Antoinette said, I've never heard about it, and I don't know where you are. Are you on Earth? Analytics is the largest and the best in terms of providing premium tech skills to anybody who wants to move into the tech ecosystem. And we've been around for the past 3 years, helping over 1,000 Africans, bridging the gap between the classroom and getting a job. Okay, and that's what we stand for. And our session today will be centered around getting into data analytics. All right, so how do you get started as a data analyst? And this is our case study. And just for me to introduce the case study, everybody on the call today will be working as a data analyst for a travel company. All right, so the travel company has existed, but always records losses over the last 5 years. They've recorded losses over the last 5 years. Now they need a data analyst, or they need somebody that would come in to help them understand the customer's needs. Okay, now you're a travel company that organizes trips and travel destinations to your customers or your clients, but then you've been recording losses year on year. Okay, and this is simply, it stems from the fact that the company does not understand what the customer wants. Okay, so where would customers love to travel to? What type of activities would they like to be involved in? And so on and so forth. Okay, so, and that is the reason why you have been hired, to help them crack that code and answer that question. So we'll work on this problem together. And some of the key considerations we'll be looking at, first of all, is we need to gather data from the customer. Okay, so we have customers who would love to travel to London, who would love to travel to Jamaica, who would love to travel to the Maldives, to Paris, and so many other, destinations for holiday. Now, how do we find out what they would like to do, where they would like to go to, what time of the year would they like to travel? We want to ask them those questions. We have their emails, we have a database of all the customers, so we need to send them something to gather this data from them. So we're going to create an instrument. That's the very first key consideration. We need to find a way to create an instrument to gather the data from the customer, from the customers. Okay, that's the first thing we'll do. The second part of our exercise today would involve analyzing the data and understanding the customer's preferences. And this will be done by everybody. I'll just be the facilitator. I'll create and do all the things we need to do. But you will then tell me what we need to do. Okay, what does this say? What do you see from this chart that I'll be building? And we're going to do that in Power BI. All right. And finally, you would also come up with the recommendations. So based on what you see, what do you think the management of that company should do? All right. So these are our three key considerations for the problem we're going to answer today. And just to walk you through, just to give you the workflow of how I would operate, I'm going to create the instrument, and we'll use a very simple instrument called a form. Okay. We'll use a very simple instrument called a what? A form. So I'm trying to write on my screen, F-O-R-M, a form. We're going to create a form using Google, a Google form. Okay. And once we do that, I'll deploy that form to everybody. We are currently 215 on the call. I'll send the form to you. You'd fill the form, and I'll connect my Power BI to that form so that as you fill the form, the dashboard and the data, the visualization I'm going to create will keep on updating as long as you fill the form. Okay, so that's the very first thing we'll do. Then once we create a visualization, I'll send you the form again. You fill the form the second time, and you'd see how it updates eventually. And like I said, this is a real life case. So you have customers, you want to find out, ask them some questions and find out what their response would look like. You can create a form, send the form to them, they fill the form, connect it to Power BI. Microsoft Power BI is a data visualization tool, is a data analytics tool that is critical, is important for you to know as a data analyst. Now, you don't need any knowledge or any understanding or any prerequisites to be in this class, okay? Because of time, what I'll do is I'll walk through the solution end to end. And then at the end of the session, for those that stay till the end, you'd receive the recording, you'd receive the slides and all the other materials. And you can then go back and implement and try to create what I'll be showing you. What I can guarantee you today, at the end of today's class, is you will know how to create a form. You know how to deploy that form and send to people. And you know how to connect your Power BI to that form. All right, so these are the three things I'll promise you before the end of today. And the fourth one, which is the final one, is you'd also know how to build the visualizations I'll be showing you. All right, so let's get into it. So this is our case. So we're going to get straight into the task and get started. The first thing is for you to download and install Power BI. All right, so we're not going to dwell on this because I have the step-by-step guide on the slides I'll be sharing with you at the end of today's session. So all you need to do is look at the slides and you get Power BI downloaded and installed. It's a straightforward, simple process. All right. The first step is you go to your browser, you search for Power BI, you'd see the link come up, click on the first link. All right. Once you click on the first link, it brings you here. This is step number 2. All right. You click on advanced download options. And once you do that, you go to step 3, you click on downloads. Okay, once you do that, you select the option. If you have a 64-bit computer, you select the 64-bit option. If you're not sure if you have a 64-bit or a 32-bit, select the second option. Okay, so everything is clearly spelled out for you, step by step, 5 steps, and you download and install Power BI. If you've downloaded and installed Power BI already, then we can work together. All right, but if you haven't, just sit back, enjoy the session, ask questions. I'll take your questions as time goes on during the session. And at the end, when we come back to all the other things regarding our masterclass today, we'll have an interaction where you kind of mute yourself and then we get to interact. while I answer your questions, like your comments, and so on and so forth. Okay. So now the assumption is everybody has Power BI downloaded after following all the steps, the 5 steps. Step 1 to 5, you'd have Power BI downloaded. Okay. So once you have successfully downloaded Power BI on your computer, the next thing you want to do is launch Power BI. Okay. You don't have to do Power BI now. All right. You don't have to do it now. Okay. You don't have to do it now. All you need to do is follow me, watch what I'm doing, understand the process, and then you can create yours after. If you're trying to do it at the same time, trust me, you'd miss 1 or 2 steps, especially if it's the first time you are doing this. So don't stress yourself downloading it now. You can do that once this session is done. Okay. So once you have Power BI downloaded, all you have to do is go to your search, go to the search on your computer, and then search for Power BI. So I'm just going to type in Power BI. And of course, if you've installed, you'd see the Power BI desktop appear. So once it pops up like this, all you have to do is click on Power BI. Okay, so we're going to see the Power BI application, and that's what we'd use today as data analysts, solving the problem for the travel company. The problem the travel company faces is they don't know what their customers want. And because of that, they've been losing money. They've been recording losses upon losses because they just whip up things out of the thin air. Okay, I think customers would love to go to this particular destination, but that's not always the case. All right. So I'm going to close this very first page. I don't need that. And this is what the Power BI application looks like. When you first open it, it's very unassuming. You really can't, tell right from the get-go how to use it. But I'll explain every single thing I'll be doing using Power BI today. And like I said again, you don't need to know Power BI to be in this session. You don't need to know anything analytics to be in this session. But by the end of the session, you'll be able to do all the things I'll show you. All right. So somebody asked if the class is free. This class is free. I'm sure nobody paid any money to be here today. Okay. So let us get started. This is Power BI, but then you are my clients and I need to know what you want so that when I'm preparing the travel packages for 2024, I know exactly what to do. So I'll create my form. We're going to create it together. You'd see how I'm creating mine. And then you will create the questions. I'll send the questions to you and you get to answer those questions. All right. So I'm going to launch my browser, Google Chrome, preferably because we're going to use Google Forms. So if you have a Gmail account, that's fantastic. That's fantastic if you have a Gmail account. If you don't, I'd advise you do, because you can use other instruments, not just the Google Forms. But for this session, we'll be using the Google Forms to execute our survey instruments. All right. So I've opened up my browser, just a new page. I'm already signed into my Gmail. So of course, you can see my profile at the top. If I click on that, you can see my name, Adeza Suleiman. Okay. So what I need to do now is to launch Forms, Google Forms. So you see the Google Apps icon. You'd see the 6 dots for the Google Apps icon. I'm just going to click on that and you'd see different applications, the Google Meets, the Gmail, the YouTube. And what I want is Forms. So I'm going to look for Forms and that's what I want to select. So I'll scroll all the way down and right at the bottom, I can see Forms. Okay, so I'm going to click on Forms. And clicking on Forms, of course, it launches the Google Forms. And what I want to do is to open up a blank form, blank. So I'm going to click on blank to launch a blank form. All right, launches a blank form for me. And then I can start creating the questions I want to ask my customers. So the title of my form, it is untitled at the moment. I'm just going to change it to, let's call it travel questions. All right, you can change yours when you're creating it, but let's just call these travel questions for now. And of course, it would also ask you to enter the form description. Now, when you're sending things to people, you want to be as explicit as possible, letting them know what the form is all about. All right, so I'll just simply say this or these questions have been designed to understand your preference so that we can serve you better. Everybody wants to be sure that you can provide them with better services. So ensure you explain in detail what is the need for the customer. Why should they fill your form? And that's why you'd see some organizations would incentivize people filling the form. If you fill the form, we're going to give you something. You stand a chance of winning this or winning that. And you also want to keep your form short and simple. Okay, so that's just a brief description. I'll then go to the very next question. Okay, so what's the first question I want to ask my customers? I want to know if my customer is male or female. So gender. Okay, so I'm just going to click on untitled question and I'll type in what? Gender. Right, I'm just going to type in gender, and then I want it to be, you can select the type of answers or the way the customers would answer the question. Should it be a multiple choice question, a short answer, a paragraph, check boxes, or drop down? I'm just going to select a drop down. Okay, so when you get the question and you click on the drop down, you'd see male or female and you select one of them. Okay, so when I click on drop down, option 1, I'll type in male. All right. Second option, I'll type in female. But let's put a third option. No, I'm not going to put a third. I'm very tempted to put prefer not to say. Okay. We can also put that, but we can also leave it as just male and female. Let's leave it at that for now. All right. Again, at the bottom right corner, you'd see where you have required. Now, if I don't select this option required, what happens is people can complete the form without filling or without answering this question. Okay, so I want to make it required so that you must answer this question before you can submit the form. It's compulsory. Okay, so that's my very first question. Male, female, two options, and the question just says gender. All right, so I'm going to click on plus. If you want to add additional questions, more questions, you just click on the plus for add question. Now, my second question is on destination. I'm just going to type in destination, where the customers would love to go to. Also, I want this to be a drop down, but I want you to give, let's see your feedback. Okay, where would you like to travel to? So let's say 5 options, and I want you to type it in the chat. So where would be your preferred destination? You can, somebody says Dubai, Eunice says Dubai, Mauritius, Canada, Maldives, Turkey, Paris, okay, Maldives, Canada, Seychelles, Afghanistan, Adewale. You want to go to Afghanistan. Okay, so let's start. I think I'll start with Jamaica. All right, I'll start with Jamaica because I can see somebody says Jamaica. Interesting. So I'll go to option 1 and I'll type in Jamaica. Jamaica. Okay. I'll click on option 2 and I'll select the Maldives. Somebody sent that in as well. Somebody also said Dubai. So I'll go to option 3 and I'll just type in Dubai. Okay. And let's see what else. Let's see what else. The UK, Paris, Canada, Cape Verde, Seychelles, New Zealand, Morocco, absolutely, Switzerland, okay, Zanzibar. I think I like Zanzibar. Let's select Zanzibar from Mark's iPhone. So I'm going to type in Zanzibar. And let's add one more. Okay, Zanzibar. Let's see, Ireland, Liberia, Dubai, UAE, Qatar, Nigeria, Santorini. I'm not sure I know where Santorini is. Okay, so let me just select one more and then we'll move on. Cape Verde. So let's select Cape Verde. Okay, Verde. Okay, so 5 options: Jamaica, Maldives, Dubai, Zanzibar, and Cape Verde. Now, I want to make this required as well, okay, so that you have to select an option. So I'll click on the slider to make it required. Now, I'll go to my third question by clicking on the plus sign. Remember, these are the questions we want the customers to answer so that we know, we have insights into what they want, and we can then go ahead and provide those exact services to them and optimize our revenue. So we don't maximize our revenue, rather, so we make money because we are offering them what they want exactly. All right. So the third question should be time to travel. Time to travel. So when do they want to travel? And what I'm going to do, just to make it easy, I'll just type in January equal 1, okay, and December equals 12. So I'm going to use numbers from 1 to 12. Okay, I'll use numbers from 1 to 12. So 1 representing January, 12 representing December. So if you select 6, it means you've selected June. If you select 7, it means you've selected July, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I'm also going to make this a drop down. Let's make it a drop down as well. And then option 1, I'm just going to type in 1. Option 2, I'll type in 2. And of course, the moment you start typing 2, 3, 4, 5, Google would give you suggestions. 3, 4, 5, add all. I'm going to click on add all. So it would add 1 to 5 for me. I'll go here. I would add 6. I would add 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And when you get the question, please ensure that you select 1 to 12, any of your preferred time to travel during the year. Okay, so time to travel, January equal 1, December equal 12, 1 to 12, and I would also make it required. I'll set 2 more questions and then would move on. All right, so now we also want to find out who the customers will be traveling with. Will they be traveling alone? Will they be traveling with friends, or will they be traveling with families? Will they be traveling with families? All right. So again, questions, what if that is not on the list where I want to go to? Again, this class is not to teach you everything, okay? It's to teach you 2 key things. Number 1 is gathering data from your customer. Number 2 is also connecting what you want, connecting your Power BI to your instruments, all right? Now, if you want to give the customers endless options, yes, you can do that. Okay, so all you have to do is you make this question, not a drop down, you'd make it a short answer, or you can populate with a list of all the countries or all the cities that exist. So you go on Google, for example, you search on Wikipedia, you search for all the major cities, you copy them, you come back here, and then you paste. So all the options, if you notice, you click on this, it gives you options, you select what you want, all right? So time to travel, the next question would then be, would the customers like to travel alone or travel with family, and so on and so forth. So I'll go to add question. Okay, and I want that to come down. So I'm just going to drag that down. Sorry. Okay, so I'm just going to take this out because I want it to come here. So what's going on? Okay, required. Okay, so the next question is travel with who? Okay, so who are the customers traveling with? With their friends, their families, or traveling alone? So let's also select drop down, and then option 1 is travel with family, travel with friends, and travel alone for the third option. Okay, also make it required, so people have to answer those questions. Okay, I'll click on the plus sign again for my next question, which is transportation. All right, so how would they like to move around? Would they love to hire a vehicle? Would they love to move around with the public buses, or would they like to move around with the train? Okay, so I'll just simply click on transportation. I'll type in transportation, and we can say, how would you like to move around? Okay, something like this, so that they understand exactly what we are asking. So transportation, how would you like to move around? First option is hire a car. All right, that's the first option. And of course, again, would have a drop down. I'm just going to be a little bit faster so we complete all of this. Hire a car. Option 2 would be bus. Option 3 would be the train. So let's leave it at that. Hire a car or rent a car. Rent a car. Let me change that to rent a car, get the bus, or you move around with the train. Now, the final question would then be, I think we can leave it at this for now. Okay. Or last question would be, what type of activities would you love to be engaged in? Group activities, individual activities, and so on. So let's add the last question, okay? And let's call this type of activities. Right? Always remember, you can modify the questions to suit exactly what you want. All right, but we are doing this just to illustrate and get us thinking of how we can gather data, connect it to Power BI, and create something out of it. So type of activities, I would also make this a drop down. When you're creating yours, you can also explore, try all the different options. You can use a grid system to take your questions. You can use date or time. You can upload a file. You can create checkboxes where they tick to select the boxes, multiple choice answers, short answers when you want them to type in something, paragraphs when whatever they'll type would be considerably long. So you can use the paragraph option and so on and so forth. Okay, so we'll use the drop down for now. Type of activities, option 1 would be group, and option 2 would be individual. Okay, and this is all. 5 questions. All right, type of activities, transportation, travel with who, time of travel, popular destination, and gender. Okay, popular destination and gender. So these are all my 5 questions. I will work with this for our session today. Now, how do I send this form across? I need to send this form to you, 220 of you. Okay, 220 of you. I need to send the form. I need to send this form to you to fill. So all I need to do, very simple, is, first of all, I need to click on, at the top left corner, if you notice, let me maximize this a bit. You'd see that I have untitled, and the moment I click on untitled form, it takes the title of my form title, travel questions. You'd see that there. We're going to leave it at that. Okay, but now I need to send it to you. So I'm going to click on send at the top right corner. Okay, and then you have 3 options to send. You can send as an email, you can copy the link, or you can embed the form, maybe on a website or your social media or something. All right, so I'm going to click on the link because I want to copy the link and share the link with you. So I'll click on the link and you see the very long link. Okay, so I can simply click on copy to copy the link, but it's too long. I can shorten the link by clicking on shorten URL, and that shortens the link for me to a more reasonable length. So once I click on shorten URL, I click on copy, and that copies the link for me. It copies the link for me. So let's assume you have an email. You've created your email, bulk emails, bulk SMS, bulk whatever it is you want to send that across to so many people. You copy the link and you can add that link to whatever communications you have. Okay, so I'll copy the link. And what I'll do now is I'll paste the link in the chat. You can't see my screen. You can't see my screen. Benedict can't see my screen. So Joan, if you can confirm, okay, you can see, fantastic. So I'm going to post the link into the chat and send it. Okay, so I'm going to send the link now. I don't want anybody to send a message because it's going to subsume my link. So I'll send the link now. So I want everybody to fill the form. Okay, so go to the form I've sent to the chat. Just look for that. You'd see it there. I've sent the form. Go to that form and fill the form. Okay, fill the form, and then we'll move on to the next step. So the first step is to create the instruments, to gather the data from people. Second step would then be to connect it to Power BI and make sense of what you would all send to me. So based on what we have selected, we can then tell where people would love to travel to, when during the year they would love to travel, and so on and so forth. And of course, as you start filling the form, I can see the responses. If you look at my screen at the top, you'd see where it says responses, and the number would keep on increasing. It's currently on 19. And as you feel, it increases to 21, and it's going to keep on increasing as more people fill that form. So I want us to do this for just a minute or 2 minutes, and then we'll use that to create what we need to create. And you'd fill the form for the second time once we are done creating our dashboard. Okay. We are currently on 73. $87. Okay, link to the form. I'm going to paste it again. Aziz. All right, paste it again. So it's currently in the Zoom charts. Just okay. All right. So the people typing done is taking the form, the link to the form. It's not clicking on my phone. Oh, sorry about that, Prince. We currently have 112. 112. Okay, 117, still increasing. All right. So what I'm going to do, I think I have enough responses. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. Kalumi said I didn't put your dream country. So like just somebody mentioned that, can we leave it open for people to select? The answer is yes, we can. We can leave it open for people to indicate where they would love to travel to, especially if it's not part of the option. That's number one. Number two is we can populate that list with so many countries, with so many destinations, all right? All the cities, all the countries. All you have to do is select the one you want, and then you get the destination. Well, we are keeping it simple because of the class and also because of the time that we have. All right. Yes, the session is recorded, Yakini. Now, what's the next step? I'll show you what to do. So you can see where you have responses. So if you've not filled the form, you can leave it for now. If you filled, fantastic, but let's get going. Okay. So if I click on responses, it would show me a summary, 140 responses. You can see that. And as more people fill, it will keep on increasing, but you can stop filling it for now. Okay. Now, what I want to do from here, from the form that I've sent out, is I want to link it to a sheet. I want to create a Google Sheet out of that form. I've created the form. These are my questions. If I click on questions, you can see the questions here. I've created the form. I have sent the link to you. You have filled the form, and I'm getting feedback from you. Now, with the feedback I'm getting, if I click on responses, I want to link it to a sheet so that this form is linked to a Google Sheet. And the moment I click on link to sheets, it would ask me, do you want to create a new spreadsheet, or do you want to select existing spreadsheets? Of course, I want to create a new spreadsheet. So I'll leave it at that, and then I'll click on create. And the moment I click on create, it's going to create a spreadsheet for me, which is all the questions I've asked. And I'm going to minimize this a little so you can see it clearly. And of course, you can see all the questions and the responses you have given. So you have a timestamp. The timestamp simply shows when you filled that form, all right? The gender, you selected the gender, the destination, the time to travel, travel with who, transportation, and type of activities. So you can see your feedback. I can see it here because I've done what did I do? From my form, instead of where I have questions, I clicked on responses, which is the next tab right beside questions, right? And then I clicked on link it to a spreadsheet, which was at the top right. And the moment I clicked on that, it gave me this Google Sheet. Now, what I'm simply going to do is I want to link this sheet because having data like this makes no sense. All right. And what do I mean? I really can't take a decision. I don't know what you have sent. I can see a couple from the top, but if I scroll all the way down, I can't make sense. I don't know where people want to travel to. I don't know when they would love to travel, if they would love to travel with friends or families, and what represents the highest number that people have selected. I really can't tell from here. So what we need to do now is use an analytic tool in the shape and form of Power BI to analyze the data in a very simple manner and create a dashboard that will tell us, first of all, how many people responded. Secondly, how many male, how many female. And we want to know when during the year will people love to travel? Where would they love to travel to? What type of activities, individual or group activities, which represents the most popular type of activity people would love to do, mode of transport, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now that I have my data in a spreadsheet like this, my next step is to go to Power BI, because Power BI is that tool that helps me make sense of this data that I just generated. All right, Power BI would help us make sense of the data. So I click to bring back my Power BI up. All right, so now I have Power BI up. Okay. Okay, somebody's asking a good question. All right, and Immaculata, I think you are annotating on my screen, please. That's a bit distracting. If you could stop that, please. Nihilolawa is asking, I was asking what happens if I don't have a laptop. You need to have a laptop to do this, right? So for you to leverage all these tools, Excel, Power BI, Tableau, SQL, all the tools you'll be using, you'd need a laptop. So it's either you purchase a laptop or you would have a laptop when you eventually work as an analyst in any organization. Okay, now let's get started. Okay, or let's get going rather. Now we have get data. At the top left corner of my Power BI, you'd see where it says get data. Get data. And sometimes Power BI can be very intuitive. And when it comes to BI, business intelligence, which is what BI means. The BI after the power, so it's Power BI. BI means business intelligence. And Microsoft's Power BI is the leader when it comes to business intelligence. And that's simply because just like every other Microsoft application, it is easy to use. Easy to what? Use. Okay, so for the past 8 to 9 years, Power BI has been the leader when it comes to business intelligence. And that's one of the reasons as an analyst, you really can't, do without learning Microsoft Power BI, how to use and leverage it as an amazing tool. So at the top left corner, you have get data. I'm going to click on that, click on the drop down. Once you click on the drop down on get data, which simply means I want to get data from wherever it is. My data could be in an Excel file. It could be in a folder. It could be in a database. It could be on the website. It could be anywhere. And I want to bring it into Power BI. In this instance, our data is in Google Sheets. We created a form, sent the form to customers. Customers filled the form. We created a sheet out of that form. Now I want to connect to that sheet. Okay, so I'm going to go to get data, click on the drop down. Under common data sources, these are the common data sources, but our data source is not here. Our data source is Google Sheets, and it is not here. So I need to look for where I have Google Sheets. Okay, so to find it, if I can't find what I want under common data sources, I would click on what? More. That's the last option at the bottom, more. So I click on more. More will take me to where I can see more data sources. Okay, so now all I need to do is I'm going to search for my data source. And for those of you that are new to the analytics ecosystem, you can see something new added. This never used to be there before. Microsoft Fabric. Microsoft Fabric is a new platform or a new technology created by Microsoft, which encompasses all the analytics solution that you would need as anybody that handles data, from data analytics to data science to data engineering. Everything can be found in Fabric. And I'll talk about Fabric as we move into the other slides once we are done with the practical bit of our session today. All right. But the data we have is in Google Sheets. So I'm going to type in Google. At the moment I type in Google, at the right-hand side, you'd see different options, okay? Google BigQuery, Google BigQuery Azure, Google Analytics, and Google Sheets. And of course, Google Sheets is what we want because that's where our data is. Remember, our data is in Google Sheets. Let's go back there and see. This is the data. This is where the data is. We had it in the form. We created a sheet out of that form, and we have our data in a Google Sheet, okay? So using Power BI, we're going to select Google Sheets. So I'm going to click on Google Sheets, click on it once, and then I'll click on Connect. Okay, so what that does for me is simply connecting my Power BI to that Google Sheet so that I can get the data, analyze, and it makes sense to everybody. Okay, so here it's just simply telling me that this is a third-party connector. All right, so Microsoft is a different company, Google is another company. So this connector between the Power BI and the Google Sheets is a third-party connector. So is Power BI just telling you so you'll understand if there are security implications, but it's totally fine. We don't have any issues with that. The Google Sheet is from my account. Okay, just like you would also create your Gmail, create your forms, create your sheets out of those forms, and connect just like I'll be connecting. So I'll simply click on continue. All right, continue. Okay, and the moment I do that, it would ask me for the Google Sheets URL, which is simply give me the link to the Google Sheets, the link. All right, so what I'll do is I'll go back to my Google Sheets, which is where I have my data over here, and I'll copy the URL at the top. So I'll just click in there and Control-C to copy, or I can right-click on the URL and click on what? Copy. All I need to do is copy the URL, okay? Now, Power BI is a fantastic tool, but you need to guide Power BI, okay? So it's like you want to send Power BI somewhere. You need to give it the address of where you're sending it to. Are you sending it to a folder? Are you sending it to a website? If you are, give Power BI the URL and Power BI will go there. So Power BI is asking us to give you the URL so that it can go to that location and get the data for us. I've just done that. I've copied the URL and I'll go back to my Power BI. Okay. And where Power BI needs the URL, I'll click in there and I'll paste. Control-V to paste, or I'll simply right click and then I'll click on what? Paste. And that will paste the URL into my Power BI, and then I'll click on OK. All right. So once you click on OK, Power BI would ask you to select, to sign in to your account on Power BI. All right. Because remember, I used a Google account and that form was created using my Gmail account. Okay. So here it's telling me you are not signed in. So I'll click on sign in. All right, and it will take me up here and ask me to choose the account I want to continue with Power BI, or I want to sign in with Power BI, which is this particular account. All right, if I have another account I want to use, so let's assume I want to use my work account, which is a different email. I'll then click on use another account. All right, but the account I want to use is this account. So I'm just simply going to click on that. and automatically, okay, to ask me to confirm, I want to, Power BI has some access already. Make sure that you trust Power BI desktop. And of course, I do trust Power BI. It's because the Power BI is on my computer and I'm the one requesting for the access. So I click on continue. Okay, so sign in complete. You can return to the application and you can close this tab if you want. We've connected already. So I'll simply go back to my Power BI. All right, and then click on what? Connect. Okay, and when we do this, the magic starts to happen. So what we are doing simply is connecting Power BI to that sheet. Okay, and you would see now what it looks like, a preview of the data. And the moment I click on this option under the navigator, you'd see the option that says Form Responses 1. Form Responses 1. And let me show you where that came from. So if I go back to my Google Sheet, if I go back, this is my Google Sheet, right, where I have the data. If you look at the bottom, it says what? Form Responses 1. Okay, so this is what Power BI is seeing, this particular tab, all right? And that's why in our Power BI, it says Form Responses 1. So if I click on that, you would see the preview of the data we are connecting to. Column 1 is the timestamp, column 2 is the gender, column 3 is the destination, column 4 is time to travel, column 5, travel with who, column 6 is transportation, column 7 is type of activities. And that's the data that I want. So the next step is for me to bring it into my Power BI completely. This is just a preview of what the data looks like, all right? So what I'll do next is to ensure that I click on the tick box. Click on the tick box to select. Okay, click on the tick box to what? Select. So once I click on the tick box to select, at the down right corner, I have 3 options. One says load, the other one says transform, and the third one says cancel. Now, one thing you should understand when working with Power BI is you follow a process called ETL. I'm going to type that into the chart. ETL, which simply means extract, transform, and load. Okay, so I'm going to type that into the chart. Extract, transform, and load. ETL. Now, what we've done is by clicking on Get Data, giving Power BI the URL of the Google Sheets is to do what? We are extracting the data. We want to extract the data from where it is, wherever it is. Now, when you extract data, the next step, because data would not be in the right shape, it would not be in the right form for you to carry out your analysis, you would need to do what? Transform. And transforming data encompasses so many things, from your data cleaning to reshaping the data using the right date formats, merging columns, separating columns, or splitting columns. So transformation is very, very key when working with data on Power BI. And once you are done with transformation, that is when you load your data into Power BI. So that's the step you follow, ETL, all right? So having said this, which of the 3 options do you think I should select at the down right corner? Should I load, should I transform, or should I cancel? Transform, fantastic. Favor, thank you, guys are beautiful. Awesome, awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Eunice, Doris, Favor, Cynthia. We'll transform. Like I said, ETL, you extract, transform, and load. So the next step logically is to transform. So I'm going to click on transform data. And when you click on transform data, what happens? It takes you into the environment where you can start to change, manipulate, clean, and so on and so forth. And that environment is called the Power Query Editor. It's an environment that exists inside Power BI, okay? Because of time, we're not going to do any transformation because that'll take another, 30 minutes to 1 hour, and we would not be able to complete all the things we need to complete today, all right? So, but this is where you do your transformation, okay? Now, one of the problems you'd see with this data is my header, the timestamp, gender, destination, time to travel is not at the top. At the top, I have :1, :2, :3, but that should not be the case. All right. My header, which is the header of each column that I have, the first column should be timestamp. The second column should be gender. The third column should be destination. Okay. And these are some of the problems that could come up when working with Power BI. So I need to find a way to take those headers a step above so that they become my headers and not be, within the rows itself. So how do I do this? Okay, I'm going to show you how to do it. But just before we do that, promoting our headers from row 1 to becoming headers, instead of having :1 to :7, I should have the exact header names in there. But before I do that, the first thing I'll do is to change the name of my data. The name says form responses 1, but I want to change it. So at the right-hand side, I'll simply change it to what? Travel. Okay, so I'm just going to type in travel and then I'll hit enter. Why am I changing it? So I'm changing the name just so that it covers the essence of what the data entails. The data entails travel-related data, so I don't want to have form responses 1, which makes no sense to the type of data I'll be working with, and that's just the reason why I changed it. So the name of the table or the name of the data should resonate with whoever will be looking at it to understand that, okay, this is travel-related data, and these are the different columns we have within the data set. So that's the first thing I'll do. The next step is for me to move all the headers that fall within row 1, move them above so they become the actual headers of my data. And how do I do that? At the top left corner, you'd see this icon. Okay, you'd see this icon at the top left, just beside :1. I would click on that, and one of the options you'd see is use first row as headers. That's the option. Use first row as headers. And of course, it's intuitive. It means take the first row and use it as headers. So I'll click on that. And what happens? It promotes my headers for me. So initially, I had timestamp on row 1, gender on row 1, but now I have them as my headers by simply clicking on this icon at the top left corner and selecting use first row as what? Headers. Okay. So 2 things I'll quickly change, all right, before I load my data. So this is all part of transformation. What we are doing now is part of transformation. Remember, ETL, extract, transform, and load. But we're not doing so much transformation because we don't have all the time to do that, okay? So we're going to change this. I think we'll change just this header, all right? I'm going to change this header and I'm going to call it travel because it's very long at the moment and I don't want to have very long headers, all right? So I want my headers to be as short as possible. So I can change the header by double-clicking on this particular header, double-click on it, or you can right-click and then click on rename. Right-click and click on rename. And I'm just going to name this transportation, okay? So all the other thing that comes with it, because I don't want to have unnecessarily long header names, I just take that out, leave it as transportation and hit enter, okay? So that would reduce the size. It reduces the size for me, all right? And this is what I have across my data. And I'm not going to do anything else, like I mentioned, because of time. It's now time for me to load the data into Power BI. So the assumption is I've completed my transformation, okay? So I'll go to the top left corner, where I have close and apply. Click on close and apply, the drop down, and click on close and apply again. So this simply closes all the things I've done, all the transformation I've done, and loads the data into Power BI. So what we've done is just to complete the step or the process of ETL, extract, transform, and load. Extract, transform, and load. So I've just loaded my data into Power BI, and then I will continue. Okay. I can see we have some questions. What happened when we load? If you load first, it's not a problem really, because you can always go back. All right. But if you load and that data has errors, it has some dirt. So when you have dirty data, it means you have to do some cleaning. Okay. So maybe you have spaces, you have formats, date formats that are not correct that you need to correct. There are colons you need to split, you need to merge. If you don't do that, you have to go back and do it. Okay. And that's why you don't just want to load directly. You want to transform before you load. Okay. All right. So let's come back. So we've loaded our data and it's time for us to start to visualize. Now, I know what I want to show based on the questions that I have. You guys have all responded to the questions. And the very first thing I've asked is, what time? What's your travel time? When during the year would you love to travel? So I want to see the number out of everybody that responded, 140 something. How many people would love to travel in January? How many would love to travel in December? In June? In August? In March? And so on and so forth. Okay, I want to know. But the very first thing I would need to do to know is I'll create 3 calculations. All right, I'm just going to share my slide to show you the calculations I'll be creating, and then we'll come back. The first calculation I want to create is total respondents. Total respondents, which means how many people responded to my question. Total respondents. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, I want to know the number of male, or let's call it total male. And number 3, I want to know total female. That's all. Nothing more. Okay, total respondents, total male, total female. I'll use different calculations for the first and number 2 and 3. 2 and 3 are pretty much the same thing. Okay, but the first one is a little bit different as well. So these are the 3 calculations I need to solve my problem. All right, so let's go back to our Power BI and let's start to answer those questions. So first of all, I want to create those calculations. How many people responded? How many of them were male? How many were female? Now, at the right-hand side where I have my data, if you can see data at the right, underneath you'd see travel, which is the data I just loaded into my Power BI. And if I click on the drop-down beside travel, you would see all the columns. All right, destination, gender, time to travel, timestamp, transportation, travel with who, type of activities, everything. Okay, but I want to create 3 calculations, like I said, total respondents, total male, total female. So all I'll simply need to do, where I have travel, I'll right-click on travel, and I'll select what? New measure. Okay, now for those of you that have used Excel, it's a bit different from how Excel operates. Okay, in Power BI, you write your calculations using something called DAX. All right, we're not going to get too deep into that, but rather than writing formulas, which is something you do in Excel, formulas, in Power BI, you write DAX. Okay, and DAX is simply data analysis expressions. Data analysis expressions, DAX. All right, so the very first DAX we're going to write today, which is you can also call it the very first calculation we're going to write is total respondents. Okay, so I'm going to right click on travel and I'll click new measure, So I click on new measure, all right? And the moment I do that, you'd see my Power BI open up with something that looks like a formula bar, all right? It says measure equal to. So what calculation do I want to create? I want to create total respondents. Total respondents. So I type that in, total respondents. That's what I want to create. Total respondents equal to. So how do I calculate my total respondents? Okay, Obed, if you can hear me, Obed, you are writing on my screen. Please don't do that. So we don't take you out of the class because that's distracting. Okay, so when you don't annotate on the screen, okay? Thank you very much, Obed. So total respondents equal to, how do you calculate total respondents? You want to count everybody that responded to that form. Count. You want to know how many people, all right? So I'm going to use a function called count rows. Count all the rows in this table. Count all the rows in the travel table, all right? So total respondents equal to count rows. The moment I type in count, you'll see the drop down. You see the drop down that has so many other functions, okay? Count A, and so on. But what I want is what? Count rows. Because count rows would count every single row of responses that I received. The name of the function makes sense. Count rows. It means count the rows in the travel data. Simple and short. All right. So I'm going to click on count rows. And when I click on count rows, I then need to enter the name of the table I want to count the rows in. So which table do you want to count the rows? Your table is what? Travel. That's the data you loaded. All right. So I'm just going to type in my table name, travel. And of course, the moment I type in TRA, I can see travel and I can just click on it without even typing it in full. And I close my bracket. All right. So the very first calculation I'm creating is what? Total respondents equal to what? Count rows. Where do you want to count the rows? The travel table. Enter that, close the bracket and hit enter. And when I do this, it's going to create the total respondents calculation for me. All right. But once you do this, of course, you will not see any number display on the screen, but I'll show you how to visualize every single calculation we are doing. So this is the first one. The second calculation we'll create is total male, and then we'll do for total female, and we'll start to visualize everything you have sent to me. Okay, so let's create total male, similar to the way we created total respondents. I'll go to travel, right click on travel, click on new measure again. All right, measure equal to, this time around, what do I want to calculate? Total male. So total male equal to what? This time around, I'll use a different function because I don't want to count everything now. I want to know how many respondents were male. So count, but don't count everything. Count only when the gender is male. All right, I'll repeat it again. Count, but don't count everything. Count only when the gender is what? Male. Okay, so I'll use a function called calculate. Calculate. So once I type in CAL, I click on calculate. Now, calculate is good when you want to restrict what you are calculating. For example, I said we want to count all the rows. but limit it to what? When gender equal male. All right, I can't do that by using the count row, which is the first one I did. I need to use calculate to do that. Okay, so I type in calculate. Because I want to count the rows again, I don't need to type count rows for the second time. I can type it in just like I typed it in when we calculated total respondents, or I can simply just type in total respondents. Okay, because my total respondents simply shows everybody that responded. Everybody that responded to that form, they are my total respondents. The first calculation I created counts everybody in that table called travel. Okay, so once I do this, I've entered my total respondents. I put a comma. All right, now I want to restrict. Yes, you're going to give me the total respondents, but limit it to just gender equal male. Okay, so after I put my comma, I'm going to type in gender. Okay, and here I have travel gender. So that's what I want, the gender colon from the travel table. So I click on gender. When gender what's equal to male. And whenever you are typing you're typing characters, like you want to type when first name equals Adeza or surname equals Bolaji, you put that into double quotes. Okay, so if I'm going to type in text into my calculations, I'm going to wrap it around quotes. All right, so give me the total respondents when the gender equal what? Male. So I'll open a quote, I'll type in male, and I'll close the quotes and then close my bracket. So I'll read it out to you before I hit enter. So what I've just done here is total male equals calculate the total respondents, everybody that responded, but limit it to only when the gender equals what? Male. Don't give me everybody. Give me only when gender equals male. And then I hit enter. All right. And that gives me my total male. I want you to guess, how do you think we calculate total female? I've shown you how to calculate total male. What would change? What do you think would change in this calculation to give me total female that responded? Just type it into the chat. If total male equals calculate total respondents when gender equal male, how do I calculate total female? Let's see what you have. Just change male to female. Absolutely. Change male to female. Fantastic. You guys are awesome. All right. So that's exactly what I need to do. So I'm just simply going to select the one for male. I'll select it and copy. All right. I'll select what I've entered and then I'll copy, Control C. Okay. And then I'll go back to my travel at the right-hand side. Right click on it. Click on new measure, which is the final calculation we are creating. And instead of typing everything again, I just paste what I had initially, Control V to paste. And like you've all rightly said, just change wherever you see male, change it to female. Okay, so I'm going to type in female. And also here I have male, I'm going to type what? Female. And that's all. So calculating total female is just to change male to what? Female. And once I have that, I simply hit enter. And that gives me my total female. And these are the three calculations I need. My total respondents, my total male, and my total female. All right. So I've created the calculations I need to get something out of the data that I want. Because what I want to see is my respondents. How many people responded? Where would they like to go to? What destination did they select? What type of activities? Who would they like to travel with? And what's the mode of transportation? Okay. Now I'm going to do a presentation to the management. and give them my recommendations, all right? And in doing this, I need to visualize and show them, because human beings are visual people. We learn when we see. We understand better when we can see things. We see something very high. We know that, okay, this is high. We see something low. We can see clearly without anybody telling us that this is low. So how do we visualize all these things we want to show people from your responses, what you have responded to? So I need to create a visualization, all right, with the calculations I've created to show something out of the data, leveraging Power BI as the tool to helping me do that, okay? So again, data visualization itself is an art, just as much as it is a science, okay? It is an art because you need to be careful about the type of colors you use, how you put things together in the right proportion, and so on and so forth. So you have to be careful about how you utilize colors, okay? We're not going to go into all those details of dashboarding, the principles of doing that, and so on and so forth. But I'll try as much as I can as I go on. But I'm going to do a little bit of design just so that you understand that you do those designs to make whatever you are showing visually appealing. Because so that whoever would be receiving or consuming your analysis, it would make sense to them. It's easy for them to follow, easy for them to understand. And the colors are also good and pleasing to the eyes, okay? So the very first thing I want to do is I want to put a banner at the top. I'm going to put a banner at the top, and then I'll create the foundation of what I want to put on my dashboard. Okay, I'll create the foundation of what I want to put on my dashboard. Now, there are so many ways of coming up with your foundation. All right, so many ways of coming up with them. And what I'll be showing you is just a very simple dashboard. I want to show something at the top that says total respondents, total male, total female. All right, people that have traveled, where they would love to travel to from January to December. I want to put that as well. I also want to show where they would love to travel to based on your recommendations, Paris, Maldives, Zanzibar, and so on and so forth. So I want to create all those boxes where I'll put different things eventually. All right. So the very first thing I'm going to put is a banner at the top. So to put that banner, which is a rectangle, I'll click on Insert. Okay, I'll click on Insert. And once I click on Insert, what do I want to insert? I want to insert a shape, a rectangle. At the right-hand side, you'd see a shape. Okay, a shape. I'll click on that. I have different types of shapes. You can see that I want to select the rounded rectangle. Again, all these things I'm selecting, they are not set in stone that you must use a rounded rectangle, but you want to create something that is visually appealing. So you always have that at the back of your mind. All right. So I click on the rounded rectangle, and it gives, the moment I click on it, it gives me this shape. Okay. So what I'm going to do very quickly is just to resize, bring it down a bit, increase this a little bit. All right. And then I would elongate it right from the left to the right-hand side of my Power BI, just like that. Okay. So that's the very first thing I'll do. All right. And this is where I'll put all those boxes that will have my total respondents, total male, and total female. Okay. So I have this. But again, remember I talked about color. The colors you use, you have to be careful. You want to use colors that either align to the company you work for, or colors that are subtle and not too contrasting. Okay, so when you look at the blend into each other and so on, you don't have colors that, you don't have a red, you have a black, you have a green, and you have very contrasting colors, and they don't look visually appealing. All right, so once I click on this, I want to change the color from blue to light purple. Okay, so I click on my shape, and at the right-hand side, you see format. Format is where you change your colors, is where you change You want to increase the roundness of the rectangle. You want to add shadows. You want to add different things. You do that under where? Format. Okay. So where I have format, I would go to style. All right, because that's where I would see the colors. I'll go to style, click on style. It opens up style for me, and I can see my color. The color I want is a light purple. Okay, nothing too complex. I just click on the color palette, and I select the light purple, this very first one, and I click on that. So that changes the color to purple. But if you notice, you have a blue border or a blue outline along the purple rectangle, which makes no sense. It doesn't make it look good anymore. So I want to take out that blue color around the border. Okay, so I'll click on my shape again. All right, I'll go back to style, and you'd see border. You can change the color of the border if you want by clicking on the drop down, changing the color, but I just want to turn it off completely. So I'll click on the slider that says on, and I'll turn it off. All right, so that turns off the border. So you can't see any blue outline again. All right, now I have created that very first banner, and you'd see how everything would come together and make sense at the end of the day. Just work with me. And once we create, you'll go back and fill the form, and you'd see how everything updates real time on our dashboard. Remember, I want to create how many boxes? I want to create the boxes that will take my total respondents, my total male, and my total female. Okay, so I'm going to create another shape. I can create the shape again by clicking on insert, by going to shapes and changing the shape all over and creating a new shape. Or I've created a shape already. I can just click on the shape I've created and copy and paste. So I click on the shape, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and it gives me a duplicate like this. All right, you can always do that to save time, to save all the hassle and everything, especially when you have a particular format or color you'd like to use. All right, so I'm going to reduce the size of this. Okay, I'm going to reduce the size of this. And there are a couple of things I'm going to change on this particular shape. And one of them would be to change my color. I'm going to change the color from a light purple, from this, to a darker looking purple. All right, a light purple to a darker looking purple. So I'm going to change the color, click on that, go back to format, go to style again, and change the color this time around to dark purple. And I have this color, is dark. I'll take that, I'll drag that to the top. Okay, you see this roundness at the side. You see that it's not a straight triangle, it has rounded angles. I want to increase the roundness. And remember, when you want to do all of that, change your colors, increase the roundness, you do that under format. Okay, so while still clicked on that shape, I go back to format, I go back to my shape, open up shape, and you'd see rounded corners. I would increase my rounded corners to, let's say 40. I'll increase the rounded corners to what? 40%. So you can see that the corners are more rounded compared to what it was before. All right. So I'm going to drag this down a bit just to increase the size. And this is where I'm going to put my total male. I'm creating something that is visually what? Appealing. And when we are done, you'd see the essence of everything we are trying to do today. All right. Okay. Let me just delete this. Now, of course, I want to create another one, but I don't want to have to insert a new shape from scratch. I want to copy and paste. But before I copy and paste, I want to finish with this very first one. It has all the formatting that I want. And one of the things I want to do is to make it pop by adding shadows around it. All right, so while I'm clicked on it, I'll go back to style. All right. And where I have shadow, I'm going to turn it on. Shadow, you can see shadow. I'll click on. Okay, so it turns on shadow and also the glow. I want it to glow, to look better. That makes it look better a bit. So I click on the slider to make it glow. All right, so I don't know who Samsung something. Please, you are inscribing on my screen. Please don't do that. All right, please don't inscribe again on the screen. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so glow, I have the glow, but the glow, once I turned on glow, what do you notice? I have a blue glow around my purple. Blue around purple doesn't look very good. So I want to change the blue color to purple, so everything blends the same color. Remember, you don't want to use colors that are too contrasting. You want to use colors that can easily blend with each other. Okay, so I'll go to glow, click on the drop down and change the color of the glow from blue to the light purple I used earlier. All right, so I click on that and immediately you can see that it doesn't have that blue glow around it. It now has a purple glow. Okay, so again, I'm just going to increase this a little bit. All right, and then I want to duplicate now. Okay, I want to create more. My total respondents will be here. Okay, I'll copy, Control-C, Control-V to paste, copy and paste. I'll put this here. I'm going to have my total male. All right, Control-C, Control-V. I'll put this here. I'm going to have my total female. Control-C, Control-V. I'll take this here. I'm going to have something else here. All right, I'll show you what I'm going to put here when we are done creating everything else. All right, so I'm going to create this, and at the top is where I'll have my numbers. How many people responded? How many of them are male? How many of them are female? Okay, now after that, I want something to show when people would love to travel. Would they love to travel in February, in March, in August, in December? By just showing a chart. All right, and to put that chart, I'm going to put it under, you know, my numbers. Okay, so where I've created these boxes, I'll create another box underneath. I don't want to have to create a new shape. I'll just copy and paste what I already have. Remember, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can always leverage what you already have, copy and paste. So I click on any of the shapes I have, Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste, and I drag that down. But I'm going to make changes to the shape in terms of the roundness, the color, and so on and so forth. I'm going to increase the size to something like this. Okay, and then I'll drag it down a little bit. But again, the angles are too rounded. So I'm going to reduce the roundness of the angle. All right, and how do I reduce it? I'll go back to format. That's where you do everything. So I'll go back to my shape, open it up, and then it's on 40%. I'll reduce it to 15%. And that reduces the roundness. It reduces the roundness. So let's take it up. Let's reduce it to 12%. Okay. And this is what I have. I have 12%. Okay. And this is what the rectangle looks like. Again, I want to change the color from dark to a lighter color, because I'm going to put some charts in here and we'll see the charts and we can easily tell when people would love to travel. Okay, so again, I'll go back to style under my format, and then where I have color, I'll change the color from the dark purple. I'll click on color, change it to what? White. All right, I'm going to click on white, and this gives me a white color. All right, now all I need to do is I want to show, when I've shown when people would love to travel, I want to present to the management to tell them where they would love to travel. So all of you that responded, where would you love to travel? All right, I want to show it right beside what I'll be putting into this box. So I'm going to copy and paste, Control-C, Control-V, and this gives me another box right beside it, and I'll just adjust it to look like this. Okay, so I can, let me just do this. All right, so I'll just leave it at this. Now at the bottom, because I have space at the bottom, why do I have space? I want to show 3 key insights. Number 1 is travel activities. Where would people, what type of activities would they like to perform? I want to show a visual that represents that. I also want to show who people would love to travel with. Are they traveling alone, with friends, or with families? And their mode of transportation. All right. So again, I need 3 boxes to show that at the bottom. So I'll select any of the boxes I have here, copy and paste, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and I'll drag it down. All right, I'll resize it. Okay, and I'm simply going to reduce the size to something like this. Remember, I want to put 3. Okay, so I'm just going to gauge and see, and you can always reiterate. You can always you can always ensure that nothing is set in stone. All right, you can always keep on iterating until you have the right shapes eventually. I meant to say iterate the other time, not reiterate. Okay, so I select this, Control C, Control V, I drag this to the right. Okay, then I have too much space at the right hand side, obviously, because I need just 3 shapes. Okay, so I'm going to delete this second one by clicking on it and just hitting the delete key on your keyboard. That's how to delete. Or you can simply click on this 3 icons that says more options and click on remove. Okay, so let's expand it a bit to something like this. All right, so let's see something like this. Control C, Control V. I drag this here. Control C, Control V, and let's see. It doesn't really fit. I'm just going to reduce this. I can reduce this as well. I'll reduce this a little bit. Okay, and then we have the 3 rectangles at the bottom. Of course, we can always align, distribute horizontally, and so on. How do I distribute horizontally? I select this 1, 2, 3. Okay, I can select them. I'll go to Format right at the top. I'll go to Align, and I'll distribute horizontally so that they have equal spacing and equal spacing in between and so on. So these are the shapes that I have. All right, now let's start showing and visualizing what we have, the calculations. And this is where Power BI is fascinating. We created calculations, but we never saw what we created. But what I've done is, when building a house, you build your foundation. All right, so what happens? They build the foundation, and once they do the foundation, they start to lay the blocks, and the house is completed. So I've just laid all the blocks that would warehouse all the elements of the dashboard I'm going to be creating. So I've just done the foundation. Now it's time for us to build. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I want to show my total respondents, how many people responded. And I'm going to show that with a type of visual called the card visual. I'll type that into the chat. The card visual, okay? C-A-R-D, card. The card visual. And all the visuals you would use, you find them under visualizations, all right? At the right-hand side, you'd see visualizations. That's where you'd find your visuals. And the visual I want to use is called card. If you see my mouse, you'd see when my mouse is hovering, it's called card. And any visual you click on, it would appear on the screen and appear blank. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to resize it to fit into the shapes I created, into my foundation. Okay, so I'm just going to resize until it fits into that. Okay, now that it has fitted into the shape I created, I then want to show total respondents. Remember, we calculated it already, where we said total respondents equals count rows of the travel table, count all the rows in the travel table. So while clicked on this card visual, I just go to the right-hand side under travel, and I select the total respondents that I created, the calculation I created. I click on the tick box. And the moment I click on the tick box, it shows me the number 146 total respondents. Okay, 146 total respondents. But guess what? This is a white background on top of a dark colored shape, and it makes no sense. It makes it look ugly. So what we are going to do is still to make it look better by taking out the white background. All right. How do I take the white background? Every single color you change, you want to change the shape, you want to change, add shadows, you want to add glow and all of that. You do that under format. You are formatting the visual. So while clicked on this card visual that says 146 total respondents, at the right-hand side, you'd see format your visual. Format your visual. So I'll click on that. And once I click on it, where do I take out the background? I'll go to general. Click on general. And under general, you'd see what? Effects. The question is, how do I know all these things? Of course, I've been using it for a while. But for somebody who is new, how do you figure all these things out? It's very simple. You explore the system. But once you understand that every color you want to change, every background you want to change it from white to blue, from white to a particular color, you do all of that under where? Format. Okay, so you click on format your visual, you click on general, and then you go to effects. Once you open up effects, you'd see what? Background. The background color is currently white, but you don't want a background at all. So you don't have a white background on top of a purple shape. So I'm going to take out the background by clicking on the on to turn it off. Okay, so once I turn it off, you can see I don't have a background anymore. But what happens is my black font that showed 146 is not visible anymore because it is a dark color on a dark shape. So I'm going to change the color of the font from black to white so that it is more visible. Okay, so I'll change that by going back to under my format, of course. And this time around, I'll click on visual. And under visual, you have your call out value. So I'll click on the drop down under call out value. That 146 that you saw is the call out value. Okay, so I'll change the color from black. I'll change it to white. So you see 146 clearly legible. Now, total respondents is also not, showing properly because it's also a dark colored font. So what you have that shows 146 total respondents, the total respondents is the category label, which is what you have at the bottom over here. So I open it up and change the color from gray to white as well. Okay, so we can see total respondents is 146. So this is very clear. So I know that when I sent my form out, when I shared the link, only 146 people filled. So what I'm going to do is I'll complete what I need to complete and I'll share the link again one more time. And I want you to fill. We're going to refresh and then you'd see that the numbers would go up. Okay. So now I want to see my total male and total female. So I'm going to click on my total respondents, copy and paste, Control C, Control V, and I'll drag it to the right. Okay, so I have a duplicate of total respondents, all right? But I don't want a duplicate. The next thing I want to see is my total male. So total respondents, total male, okay? So instead of having total respondents as a duplicate, at the right-hand side, I'm going to take out total respondents by deselecting the tick box. Deselect it, and that takes it out. And then I'll click on total male. Total male is 69. Wow, that's interesting. 69 male. So the bulk of the respondents are female. Very, very interesting. So let's see how many female. Again, copy and paste, Control C. I'll click on the card visual, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and I'll drag it to the right. Right? So I have a duplicate of total male. But again, I don't want a duplicate, right? I want to see total female. So I'll go to the right, I'll deselect total male, and I'll click on total female. All right. So we have 69 male and 77 female that responded. Okay. And the total is 146. Very interesting. So we have more female who are looking to get into tech compared to male. And this is the representation of our customers. All right. So now that we've seen this, let's see when people would love to travel. Is it in January? Is it in December? Okay. And the best way to show that type of visual is to show it using something called a line chart. And I'm just quickly going to describe what a line chart looks like. All right. So you can have something like this. You have January, you have February, you have March, you have April, and you have a line that looks like this. So based on this line, when would people love to travel? Based on the line that you can see. When would people love to travel? Just type that into the chart based on the line. April, obviously. All right, fantastic. All right, Benga is on the call. Benga, I see you. Okay, thank you, Benga. All right, so again, April, right? That's because that has the highest point. You can see January is the lowest, February is going up, and then April has the highest. So we're going to create a line chart like this to show when you have selected that you would love to travel. All right, so let's get back to Power BI. Let's get back to Power BI. So of course, under visualizations, you have a visual called the line chart. Line chart. If you see my mouse, you'd see my mouse hovering on line charts. I'm going to click on line charts. All right. And it will appear blank again, just like all the other charts. All right. And then I'll fit it into this shape that I've already created. I'm just going to fit it into this shape. Fit it into the shape neatly. And then what do I want to select? I want to select the time of travel that you have selected and the total respondent. So based on the time of travel from January to December, how many people would love to travel? All right. So I'm going to go to total respondents. I'll click on that. And then I'll click on time of travel. Okay, but once you click, if you click, it might not go into the right space that you want it to go to. Just like what I drew on my screen, January, February, March, and April, right at the bottom. I want my 1, 2, 3, 4 to be at the bottom as well. And that is my x-axis, all right? So wherever I have my time of travel, I'm going to take that and drop it. I'll drag it from wherever it is under y-axis. I'll drag it and drop it under the x-axis. Okay, I'll drag it and drop it under the where? The x-axis. So I have 1, 2, 3, up to 12 right at the bottom of the chart. And then you'd see the line of what people have selected. Okay, now, before I ask you any questions, okay, I'm going to do one or two things. First of all, I want to change the color. We have used purple, light purple, dark purple. So blue has no business being here. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is to change the color of this line. And to change the color, I click on format as usual, format. And then I go to lines, click on the drop down under lines. Okay. And where I have the drop down, you'd see colors, go to colors, change it from blue, and I'm going to use the light purple color. Okay, I'll use the light purple color. Again, you can see, if you look closely, you see that it doesn't start from one. It starts from 1, but it doesn't show number 1. it shows 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. So I want it to start from 1 to 12. So I'm going to make 1 or 2 adjustments. So it starts from number 1 to number 12. Okay, so again, 1 to 12 is on my x-axis at the bottom. So I'll go to my x-axis under format, open it up, and I'll change the type from continuous to categorical. I'll change it from continuous to categorical, okay? And when I do that, of course, you can see it has changed, but it is still not aligned. It is not properly arranged, and I'm going to arrange it shortly. So after changing it from continuous to categorical, you can see that all the numbers are now showing from 1 to 12, but it is not properly arranged. So I'm going to sort it from the smallest to the highest. So to sort it, I'll simply go to the more options icon at the top right corner, click on more options, and then I'll sort the axis by, first of all, time to travel. I want to sort it by the time to travel from 1 to 12, which means in ascending order from the smallest to the highest. So I'll click on time to travel. Okay, after doing that, I'll go back to more options again. I'll sort it this time around in ascending order, which means from the smallest to the highest. Click on sort ascending, and then you'd see from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have that on the chart. Okay, so 3 things I'm going to do very quickly is I'm going to change the title. So anybody who sees this knows exactly what they are seeing. So I'm going to change the title first of all, and then I'll take out all these labels at the left-hand side on the y-axis and on the x-axis. All right, I'm going to take them out. So let's go back to our format. Okay, so I want to change the title first of all. So title, I'll find that under my general. So click on general, go to title, click on the drop down under title, and change the text to, let's call this travel by month. Okay, travel by what? Month. I'm just going to type that in there, and you can see it will change right on the chart. Whatever you type into your title would appear on the chart. All right, so travel by month, that's all I need. I'll go back, click on visual, and under my x-axis, I want to take out this title that says time to travel. Okay, so under x-axis, once you click to open x-axis, you'd see title, turn it off, and that takes it out. Also for the y-axis, I want to take it out as well. Okay, so I'll go to my y-axis, open up y-axis, and I'll take out the title. Click on that to take it out. Okay, now, when during the year will people love to travel? Type it into the chat. When during the year will people love to travel? HV says December. December. Bimbola Eunice says December. Fantastic. December, December, December. We are all on point. Jonathan says December, December, December. Obviously, you don't need me to do any presentation. From what you can see, you can clearly see that people want to travel in December. Okay, now we've seen this. I also want to see, where will people love to travel? So they've told me that they would love to travel in December, but where? Which destination, which city, based on what we sent on the form. All right, so rather than creating something new, I'm just going to copy what I have. So I'll just copy Control-C, Control-V. I'll drag this to the right over here, okay? And I'll resize. I'll resize it to fit into the shape that I created. Reshape. But this time around, I want to see total respondents by what? By destination, not time to travel anymore. So my time to travel, I'm going to deselect it. And then I'm going to select what? destination. Okay, again, I don't want to use the line charts. I want to use clustered colon. So now I've selected destination and we can see, I'll then change it to a what? A clustered colon. So I click on clustered colon and I have something that looks like this. So two things I'm going to change. I'm going to change the title. Because I copied it from here, it also has the same title. So I'm going to change the title and change the color from blue to the purple we've been using right from time. Okay, so I'll click on format. I'll go to general, and under title, I'll change it to travel by destination. Okay, and then I go back to visual and I'm going to change my colons color. I'll open up colons and I'll change the color from blue to the light purple to keep the consistency that we have been using. Okay, so one thing I'm also going to do is I want to add the data labels. So how many people selected Maldives? So under my visual, where I have my format, you'd see data labels. Turn it on. Okay, it is now on. You can see 62, 42, 22, 13, and 7. These are the data labels. We just turned it on. Because I have the data labels, it means I don't need all these things at the left-hand side, my y-axis anymore, because I have the data labels at the top. So I'm going to take out this y-axis. So my y-axis, I'm going to turn it off completely. So I have this. This is the travel by destination. Now, from what you can see, where will people love to travel to? It is definitely evident, okay? But just type it into the chart. The Maldives. Zanzibar comes in at third. Dubai comes in second. Jamaica comes in fourth out of the 5 locations we selected. Now, one thing I want you to be doing for me as we are answering and showing, visualizing all these things is be coming up with your recommendations. What are you going to recommend to the management? Okay, so the next thing we're going to show is we want to see, based on the type of activities. Remember, we asked the question on type of activities. Would they love to travel in group? Sorry, would they love to have group activities or individual activities? Okay, for this, I want to use pie, a donut chart. Okay, so I'm going to copy what I've created initially. So I'll just click on this, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. All right, so copy and paste. So I maintain the same formatting. That's why I'm copying and pasting. So I'm just going to adjust to fit it into the box that I have. All right, so I have this. Now, what I want to see is, I want to see my total respondents by type of activity, the activities they've selected, not destination. Okay, but first of all, I want to select my donut chart. So I'm going to click on donuts, and then I'll take out destination and select what? Type of activity. Okay, destination and type of activity. So I'm going to click on that, and then I would change the color. Okay, so I have blue and I have dark blue and light blue. Okay, so I'm going to change the color to keep the consistency of what we've been doing right from time. So I'll click on format. Okay, and under my slices, I'm going to change the color. So I'll click on slices. From group, I'm going to change this to the light purple. Individual, I'll change this to the dark purple. Okay, there is a blank that we have in the data. We have a blank, and I'm guessing when I created the form, I did not make the last question compulsory. I'm just going to check very quickly to see. So please pardon me. Yeah, so you can see type of activities, and this is good. We're actually seeing this. So all the other questions, I didn't even make this required as well. So I'm going to make them required. So you cannot go without answering. So because some people did not answer this question, type of activities, you can see that appear when creating our visualization. We have blanks. Okay, we can take out the blanks. All right, we can take out the blanks on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my visual and I'll go to filters. All right, I'll go to filters. So I want to remove my blanks. So under the filters where I have type of activities, I'm going to click on the drop down and you can see the blank. One person did not fill. So group, individual, one person did not fill is blank. All right, so I'm going to select group and I'll select individual. I'm not going to select the blank. Okay, and I'll close my filters. So these are some of the mistakes you don't want to make when creating your form. I did not make it required. So somebody submitted without answering that question. So now I can see my type of activities. All right. Now I'll change the title to say travel by activities instead of travel by destination. So under my format, I'll click on general and we're almost done with this. I'll go to title and I'll do travel by activities. Okay. Also very clear. We can see clearly what people want and what they've selected. Okay. I'm going to copy this, Control C, Control V, copy and paste. I'll drag it here to the right. The next one would be travel with who? Do they want to travel alone or do they want to travel with friends or do they want to travel with family? All right. So I'm going to deselect travel by activities or type of activities. I'll deselect it and select travel with who. Okay, after selecting travel with who, I can see family, friends, and alone. Again, I need to change the color. The color has to align. All right, so I'll go to format. I'll go to slices, change the color, use the light purple first of all. For friends, I'll use the dark purple, and alone, I'll use a lighter shade in between. Okay, so still using the same purple, but different colors. And my colors align. Now, the last visual we're going to create is travel, the mode of transportation. Okay, so I'm going to change the title from travel by activities. Let me expand this a bit. Okay, I'm going to change from travel by activities to travel. So I'll click on general title and I'll just call this travel with who. Okay, travel with who. And the last thing we're going to create, Control C, Control V, copy and paste, drag it to the right, is, okay, so I'm going to increase this a little. I want to create mode of transportation, all right? So how will they travel? Mode of transportation. So I'm going to deselect travel with who, take it out and select transportation. All right. So we can see rent a car, train, and bus. Again, I'll change the color and change the title. Okay. So I'll click on format, slices, change the color, light purple, change this to a darker shade of purple, and change this to a lighter shade of purple. Okay, and we can see this, and I'll change the title to mode of transportation. Mode of transportation. All right. Now, before I send the link back to you to fill one more time, and we see how this gets updated, I want to add something called a slicer. So at the top over here, I can select a specific month and I would see how the entire report I've just created will change based on my selection, all right? And that particular visual we're going to use for that is called a slicer. The slicer helps us filter. So if I select only January, I want to see total number of people that selected January, number of male that selected January, number of female that selected January, when My travel by month would only show January, destination that people would love to travel in January. So everything will be filtered for what? January. So I'm going to add that here. Again, going by how we've been creating this, copy and paste. So I'm going to click on this particular visual, the card visual, and Control C, Control V, copy and paste, drag it to the right. And I'm going to deselect whatever I have in there, which is what? Total female. Deselect it. Change it into a slicer. The slicer is just a visual, just like all the visuals we've selected. Click on the slicer. And what do I want to use to slice my data, to filter my data? I want to use the time of travel. So I'll select time to travel. So it's going to show me a slider, but I cannot see what is in there because the values are written using a dark font. So I'm going to change the color of the font to a lighter shade, and I'll click on format. Okay, I'll go to values, and I'll change the color from a dark color to white. And I can see 1 to 12, which shows me I can change and slide from January to December, or I can do in between, maybe from March to August. I can see the total number that selected March to August. Okay. Another thing I can change is the header. All right. So I can come to the slicer header and I can change the color as well, change it to white. And I can change the title to say select, or let's say filter by month. Filter by month. So anybody that sees that knows that, okay, this is there for me to filter and change the month. We're going to interact with that quickly, and then I'll share the form with you again. You'll fill it again, and we update what we've created. Now, if I move this slider to the right, one changes to 2, 2 changes to 3, 3 changes to 4, 4 changes to 5. So I can filter to see from 5 to 12, which means from May to December. If I release my mouse, it filters. So now we can see how many people chose May to December, between May to December, 134, 62 male, 72 female. I can drag it again to show from October to December. All right, and it is responsive. Whatever I've created responds to how I filter them using the slicer. Okay, so I can change this. I can also bring this, so I can see from March to, or let's say from January to March, which is first quarter. Okay, so 1 to 3, which is January to March. And we can see that only 9 people would want to travel in the first quarter. All right, we can move this to the second quarter, which is from April to June, which is 4 to 6. All right, and we can see 14 people. So based on what we've seen, majority would love to travel in Q4. All right, so this is how you create things that are responsive. Now, before I send the form back to you, I want somebody who is confident to come up to tell us, if you are to recommend to the management on what to do to maximize revenue for the company, based on what 146 customers have said, what will your recommendation be? So for somebody who would love to speak, you can just use the raised hand icon. I'll ask you to speak, and then you tell us what you think, so we can wrap this up, and I'll go back to the slides showing you how to learn and get very good with doing things like this, and how to become a data analyst anywhere across the globe. Okay, so let me see. I would love somebody to unmute. Pelumi, I'm going to ask Pelumi to unmute. So Pelumi, I've asked you to unmute yourself. So please go ahead and speak, Pelumi.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. God bless you. Whew. So as a data analyst, I would tell the managers or the stakeholders that based on my analysis, I would suggest that the travel airlines or whatever should be made in December. That's all. I don't know if I'm right.
All right, thank you, Pelumi. That's fantastic. Obviously, they should plan their holiday trips, the travel, the packages they have for their customers for December, because that's when majority of the customers would love to travel. I can see fantastic insights from Oluwafemi and Eunice in the chats, but I would love to hear from one more person very quickly. Okay, so let's hear from Matthew. So Matthew, I've asked you to unmute yourself, so you can unmute and go ahead, Matthew.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time, and the presentation is very insightful. I've been following your class for some time now. As a data analyst, from the analysis here, I will advise the company on, for the travel month, it should be in December. Then for the destination, they should market the Maldives, because it seems is high on the chart. Then by way of activities, from the chart here, it shows that, oh, the group own is more fun, and people would like to participate in the group own, thereby bringing all these together. Then who to travel with, then they'll have to bring in, okay, the family package and mode of transportation, thereby putting all this together, it will raise the revenue and the sales of their travel package, thereby maximizing the profit for the organization.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Matthew. I think for the travel activities, you meant to say group, yes. Okay, yeah. You're absolutely correct. The group, people want to engage in group activities. So it's left for the company to then create activities focused on group participation. Again, family packages, like you mentioned, rightly mentioned, and also they would want to move by renting a car. 55.1% would want to rent a car. All right. And of course, if they want to travel with family, they'll probably want to be with their spouse, their children, or who, as the case might be, as a group within the same unit. So thank you very much. Fantastic, Matthew. And for the person that spoke earlier, thank you very much as well. And all the contributions we've also got into the chat. Thank you very much. You guys are awesome and fantastic. All right. So when people ask the question that, oh, what does a data analyst do? As a data analyst, what will I be doing? What is my role? What's my responsibility? This is it. This is part of what you'll be doing. You'll be helping companies answer key questions. You'll be helping them maximize their revenue and reduce their losses. You'll be helping them solve problems by taking data, analyzing the data, and presenting your insights and findings. And this is not based on anybody's intuition or based on anybody's experience. It's based on what the customers actually want. All right. So just to wrap up this session very quickly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you the link again one more time. Okay, one more time, I'm going to send you the link. And what I want you to do is fill the form one more time, and let's update and see if it captures the update. So I've just sent the link. I've sent the link into the chat one more time. So 1 minute, let's fill, and then I'll bring you back up. I'll bring the dashboard up, would refresh, and it captures all your new responses. And then we move into the rest of our slide. Okay. So just fill the form. Fill the form 1 minute. So at exactly 1 minute, I'm going to hit the refresh button, and let's see if we've been able to refresh our dashboard. Okay. So this is what we have: 146 total. 146 46. From my end, I can stop people from responding. Okay, so let's assume you've completed the exercise. You don't want people to fill anymore. You can stop them from filling the form. So it's 1 minute. So what I'm going to do very quickly is I'm going to hit the refresh button. Click on what? Refresh. And let's see what happens. So refresh is going to refresh what we've done, and 146 is going to change. And now we can see it has changed to what? 218. So as you fill, and as your customers fill that form, they respond to your questions, your report is what? Updated as well. Okay, so you don't have to go through all the step again when new people fill the form. All you have to do is come here and hit on what? Refresh. And you can see real time what is happening, what people are selecting, and then you can always give recommendations back to the company. All right. One thing you also want to take note of is some people want to travel in July and October. If you notice, July and October. Well, a very fair number, not so much, 10 and 7. Okay. So you can, 28 and 25. All right, 28 people and 25, which is considerable. That's about 53 people that would love to travel in the month of July and the month of October, and 68 in December. So you can plan everything within that period. And that's what you'd recommend to maximize the revenue for the company and stop that company from making losses. And that's the role of the data analyst. So when people ask, what's the role of the data analyst? That's it. To help businesses do what? Analyze and interpret data. To generate insights, to support data-driven decision-making. Okay. And that's what you'll be doing as a data analyst, helping companies answer questions, helping them solve problems, and so on and so forth. So it's key and important for you to then understand the tools that would help you solve and answer those questions, because you can know what to do, but how do you visualize the way we've just done using Power BI? How do you analyze? How do you create your forms? How do you gather the data, and so on and so forth? Now, as a data analyst, what's the average salary? Okay, because again, you want to learn skills that are globally recognized, globally. So wherever you are in Jamaica, you are in Nigeria, you are in Ghana, you are in Kenya, you are in the UK, you are in Canada, you want to work for companies in the biggest economies across the globe. Okay, in the UK, for example, the average is about £40,000. All right, and when I say £40,000, that's the average. Okay, not the highest, not the lowest, but that's the average across the industry. Okay, and in the US, it's about $72,000 the average per annum, and in Canada, it's about 64,000 Canadian dollars. And of course, it can go a lot higher than that, depending on the industry, depending on the company offering you that role. Okay, we have two very fantastic people on the call. All right. Benga is on the call. Benga is a fantastic gentleman. He joined our program and he got a job. All right. We worked with Benga to help him get a job as a data analyst. And where does Benga reside? Benga resides in Poland, somewhere in Europe. I'm sure most of you would have heard of Poland. You know Poland. He's in Poland. He joined our program just like so many of you joining from across different regions. We worked with him, interview preparations, and all of those things. And today, Benga works as a business data analyst with one of the leading companies in Poland. Benga is on the call and is going to share his story with you as well. Okay, so why are those in America? America tend to pay a lot higher for tech-related roles than other countries. The UK, Canada, wherever you find yourself, the US pays a lot higher for tech-related roles, all right? So before Benga and Adegoke, two fantastic gentlemen, come up to share their own story of how they started and how they were able to transition. What do you need to learn to become a data analyst? Because this is one of the questions I get all the time, all right? People would have watched YouTube videos forever and they really cannot transition and make the switch from where they are to where they want to be with regards to getting into data analytics. So what do you need to learn step by step? First of all, is problem-solving techniques. So you need to understand the techniques, the frameworks to use to deploy to solving problems. You need to know how to gather data if the data you need to solve that problem does not exist. You need to know how to break problems into multiple parts so you can take individual parts, solve them, which invariably you solve the entire problem, leveraging so many frameworks, so many techniques that you would learn under problem solving. Because your fundamental objective as an analyst is to solve problems. So once you learn that, you then have to learn Microsoft Excel for analytics. This is absolutely important. Excel is one of the most versatile analytic tools you would ever get to use. All right, but not the Excel that most of you would know, okay? But Excel for analytics. How do you use a VLOOKUP, index and match? How do you summarize data using the pivot table? How do you create visualizations using pivot charts? How do you create dashboards by bringing all those charts into a single environment, just like we did on Power BI? How do you dashboard in Excel? And how do you analyze data, summarize your data, and do all of those things in Excel? That's what you'll be learning, all right? Once you've known how to use Excel for analytics, the next step is what? SQL, structured query language, SQL. You cannot be a data analyst without the understanding of SQL. You are more or less just wasting your time, all right? So SQL is absolutely important and pertinent to your journey in data analytics. Anybody who has to handle data, work with data, you must know SQL, all right? Number 4 is Microsoft Power BI. So you've learned problem solving, you've learned Excel, you've learned SQL. The next step is what? Power BI. You see what we've done with Power BI today. That's just scratching the surface, all right? That's just a fraction of what Power BI can do. So how do you connect to more data sources? How do you create more amazing, compelling visualizations, and so on and so forth? You do that using Power BI. And then you move to Tableau. All right. So Power BI is a business intelligence tool. Tableau can also do business intelligence. But then learning the two puts you at a pedestal that projects you to the best organizations out there. And the question is why? Some companies have a preference for Power BI. Some would have a preference for Tableau, all right? So, but when you learn the two as a data analyst, you can apply to so many jobs that your counterparts would not be able to apply to because you understand how to use the two tools, solving problems, analyzing data, visualizing the data, and so on and so forth, all right? Again, once you've learned that, we've also introduced something very interesting into our curriculum, which is Microsoft Fabric and ChatGPT for data analytics, all right? For those of you that know ChatGPT, of course, some of you would have used it. Some of you would have used, I'm not sure you'd have used Microsoft Fabric yet because it's a new technology from Microsoft. It's an all-in-one platform that warehouses different tools to help you with your data analytics, your data science, your data engineering, all in one place. And organizations have started implementing Microsoft Fabric. So as a professional that understands Microsoft Fabric, that puts you ahead of the pack, okay? So Benga, who is coming to speak today, Benga that got a job as a data analyst in Poland, Benga did not even learn Microsoft Fabric because we had not introduced this yet. We are only introducing it for the August cohort, okay? So for anybody joining the cohort starting in August, you have a significant advantage compared to those who have taken it before. However, what we also try to do is, for those who have taken our programs in the past, we make these programs available, the new additions to the curriculum available to them, okay? So these are the 6 key skills you must have to get a job as a data analyst anywhere across the globe. So while I'm going to walk you through what the program at Analytics entails in terms of the timing, in terms of the projects you are going to work on as a data analyst. I'm going to bring on Benga, and Benga is going to share his story with you. So Benga was just like you, all right? He joined a free session like this. He learned one or two things and he joined the program, okay? And Benga's story is always very fantastic for me. I find it very interesting because I worked with Benga until he was able to get this job. Okay, so if Benga is on the call, I'm going to call on Benga to quickly speak, and then I'm also going to bring in Adegoke. I'm also going to bring in Adegoke to come on. All right, I'm not sure. Benga, if you're here, please just send me a message. But I think Adegoke is here. I'm going to allow Adegoke also speak very quickly. And let's see, we have Benga coming. Yes,
Benga
John.
is on the call. Benga is on the call and he has been made a co-host as well. So he's John actually.
John, oh, all right. So John, go ahead, and then we're going to have Adegoke. All right.
Hello. Good afternoon. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, good evening. Can you put on your video so we can see you at least?
All right.
Okay. So let's see you. All right. How are you doing today, Benga?
I'm very well, thank you.
I didn't know
How
your
are
name
you?
was John. Your name was John as well.
Well, I usually use it around there because they can't pronounce my name. So I
Okay.
just use it once in a while.
All right, fantastic. So, John, within, I'm going to call you Benga because I know you as Benga. So, Benga, within the next maybe just 2 minutes, just quickly give us a summary, all right, of how you learned with us at Analytics, your job search, how you prepared for your interview, how you got the job. Tell us where you're working. Tell us the country you're joining us from, just to share your experience with everybody on the call. Okay.
Okay, my story is very long, but he knows that, but I'm really going to make it really short. So I came in here 2021. I started the job search and it was really difficult. So a lot of rejections, hundreds of rejections. I always wake up to rejections every morning. So I was online searching for means to upgrade my skills because at a point I got an interview that he asked me about Tableau, if I knew how to use Tableau, and I didn't. So online I saw this advert and I was like, okay, let me just dig in. Then I applied, I paid for the course and we started because I saw Tableau on the brochure. So as soon as we started Excel, we were encouraged to start applying for jobs and so on, and write a new CV because we always have these master sessions to teach us how to write our CV, package our LinkedIn profiles to tailor them in line with the job search. So those were the procedures, and fortunately, I've been able to get into interview sessions and build alongside that. So, and every interview sessions, most of the time, Mr. Adeza is always available to coach me, to give me questions like real-time, real life questions. Like it will look like he is the one setting the questions you're waiting for during the interview. So it's been awesome, and at the end of the day, we are here today. Also, I want to also share that at the end of the day, I was able to get 4 different offers from 4 different companies. So, and I just had to choose and juxtapose and analyze that, okay, this one is the best fit for me. I've never done anything data analytics before I joined the class. And it's been awesome, and I'm really, really grateful to Analytics. I'm grateful to Mr. Adeza, Joanne, and every other facilitator around. And also one other important thing is when I got the job, especially when you get jobs around here, outside Nigeria, you get to do background checks, and they were there the whole time, supporting me with necessary documents and also what I need, every necessary steps I need to take to make this thing stand. And here I am today. I'm still even getting going back to Mr. Adeza to ask some questions sometimes because there are some new things I'm encountering at the job, and they're asking me for some things and I'm getting back to him that, okay, do you know this? And he's giving me suggestions, do this, do this, do that, and so on. So you are in the best hands. I would encourage everyone inside this call to take a leap of faith and trust them, because I trusted them and it has yielded something wonderful for me. I didn't dream of, because the salary I'm getting today, I didn't think about it at all. I was thinking of maybe something half of what I'm getting now. So it came as a shock, it came as a surprise, it came as a miracle. So altogether, you also need to put in your best, work hard towards it. All these things they are going to be teaching, you're going to put in the time, you're going to put in your effort to practice, and also so that you be fluent whenever you're doing your interviews, because they ask you a question, they want to be sure that you really know this thing. You are proficient in using this technology. So thank you, Tenalytics. Thank you, everybody. This is my little mixed deal.
Somebody sent a question in the chat saying, no wonder he's now fat because of the salary. So again, this is Benga on the slide. I'm sure for those of you that have joined our previous session, you'd have seen Benga's, slide, how Benga got a job in Poland. Benga is in Poland, got a job in Poland as a business data analyst after joining our data analytics program. So this is Benga, sharing his own experience with you. All right. And like I always tell people, Benga, you had about how many interview preparation sessions? I know we had one together. You had about 2 with some of our associates, correct?
Well, the thing is, all the interview sessions I did, I got interview preparation sessions for them, because the job I am on right presently, I did 4 different stages, and those 4 different stages, I got interview preparation for all of them. And another time, I had 3 interviews scheduled for inside a week. So the 3 of them were prepared for at the same time. So it was coincidental and it worked together. So
absolutely fantastic. So again, like Benga said, we had a conversation today around office scripts and automating some reports based on what he's currently doing, and this is where, first of all, like Benga mentioned, and if you look at when Benga got the job, all right, he reached out to me, and one thing Benga said was, thank you for this opportunity. And for me, this is I would say the crowning the effort at the end of the day from both ends. And for me, it's all about Benga doing all the work. You have to study, you have to put in the work, you have to practice. When you have interviews, you have to reach out, and we work with you to help prepare you for your interview. And Benga mentioned something very key, taking the leap of faith. You've always wanted to get into data analytics for a long time, but you've always had that, oh, should I start now? Should I not start now? Can I learn on YouTube? Can I not learn on YouTube? Can I learn on this platform, or so on and so on and so forth? One of the things we do, which I'm going to share with you as we move on, is the key aspects to you landing the job. The technical skill is not just what got Benga the job, all right? However, the additional skills you need to learn, like the interview preparation and the referencing he mentioned, they're absolutely critical to you getting a job, especially outside Nigeria and outside your country. People would ask, they want to see somebody that can vouch for your character and say, oh, I've worked with this person, they're of good character, and so on and so forth. Okay. All right. So let's hear from Adegoke very quickly, and then we're going to wrap up the session, and I'll take questions and answers. Thank you very much, Benga, for joining. I didn't know your name was John as well, but now I know that you're also John.
No problem at all. All right.
Thank you very much, Benga. Thank you for coming to share your story. We always appreciate you every time. Okay, Adegoke, please. Good to have you on the call. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm fine.
All right. Where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from Canada.
From Canada. Fantastic. All right. So Adegoke, I've been seeing the fantastic work you've been doing on LinkedIn, honestly. So I want you to share your story to people who would love to also start their journey in data analytics. What's your experience been like? Just give a snippet of your story as well. I think okay.
Okay, I think I'll start from the background. I came into Canada in December last year, and when I came in, I didn't have any work permit. So I talked to myself while waiting for my work permit. I needed to upskill myself, even though I had a background in IT, but I wanted to do something different, something unique. And I think I came across your session on Twitter with I think Waka Waka Doctor session, and then I joined the session. I made a determination that I was going to, start the training. At first, I had issue with deciding whether to go for the business data analysis or pure data analysis, but because I love business as well. But I said, you know what? Since I love data, let me just stick with data analysis, and afterwards I can, think of something else again. So I joined. I think the first session was problem solving. Then the second session, Excel. Now this was the intriguing part. Where I worked before I left Nigeria, I could say I was very good in Excel, right? Almost all my colleagues, the staffs, when they have issue with using Excel, they call to me to help them out with Excel. But within me, I knew Excel, but then I knew my level of expertise in Excel was low because I knew there was more to Excel that I didn't know. And when we had the Excel session, I knew nothing. So you could imagine me that I know I was the best in Excel in my company where I left, but when I was having this training, I knew nothing. Functions, formulas, shortcuts that I never got to know they existed. And then the second after the second session, which was on Saturday because our classes are usually on Saturday, and then they watch music videos on Sunday. And on that Sunday, after the second session, I had a conversation with one of my colleagues back in Nigeria, and then it was like, we have this task they have been given, this and that. I was like, okay, can you give me an idea of what the task is? And when he explained to me, I was like, wow, I can actually do this with what I've just with the skills I've just learned with Excel. And the only formula I used was just index match, and that solved the entire problem. And he sent the task to me that same Sunday. Before their close of work on Monday, I had sent him the job. Now, this was the task that there were two that were supposed to work on that data set, two different Excel files, and then to just match the component of one with the other one. And they had like over 3,000 data sets. So they technically it was going to take them more than like a week for them to do it. But under just one day, I was able to sort it out with just using index match, which was what I learned with analytics. And it was like, how did I know this? I was like, look, it's an investment I have to make on myself. And it's been a wonderful journey. Learning data analysis, I've not regretted it. In fact, today when I was even checking some of my portfolio, I discovered I even had 10 portfolio on Novi Pro. Aside those that I've not even uploaded, I've been constantly, doing more work, doing more projects, learning more. It's been a wonderful thing learning data analysis, and I'm planning on, enrolling for business data analysis anytime soon as well, because I just want to broaden the horizon. It's a very interesting. Just recently, I got an interview call, a telephone interview for Tuesday, and I couldn't get an interview preparation date. So, I spoke with my classmate, Joan, and she gave me the confidence I needed, shared an idea of what they could ask me, and sincerely, I killed it, And now I'm expecting the second stage. I've booked the prep for Sunday with Mohammed, hoping that I'll get equipped before the second stage interview. It's been a wonderful journey. In fact, and a part of what they requested in the job was Domo. And because I've not had Domo before, I had to go and research Domo, because those are some of the things they will tell you in the class, things that you need to learn on your own, how to get about discovering other things. So I learned online, got to know, research about Domo, discovered it was an online cloud-based analysis software, just like Power BI. Try to, because I had experience with Power BI based on our class, I was able to, make use of that The guy was like, do you know what is Domo? I'm like, yeah, it's a data analysis program like Microsoft Power BI. I was like, okay, that's good. And I was able to kill it, and I'm hoping that the whole thing is going to go, successful. I'm in Ontario, but then it's a remote job from the company is a global IT company in Nova Scotia. So they want it's a global IT company, but they are looking for a remote role in their office for Nova Scotia. So it's been a wonderful journey, and the facilitators have been so helpful. And one of the things that can also help you out is when you have a collaboration as a team, for class members, forming a team and helping each other out. Has also been wonderful. We've been helping each other out. We've had our capsule project, which we were able to work on real life case scenarios, and that also built our portfolio. Then we had sessions, mentorship sessions. We've had interview reviews, CV review sessions, your LinkedIn profile review sessions, and all this has helped in so many ways that I never thought I could do. So it's been a wonderful journey, and I know very soon I'm going to hit the first job, and I know the sky is the limit. So don't hesitate. Just take a decision to invest in yourself, and then start the journey as soon as possible.
Thank you very much, Adegoke, for that elaborate, experience sharing session. I mean, it's been fantastic. Like I said, I've always been tracking your progress on LinkedIn, and I see the stuff you post out there and how well you are doing. Fantastic work, Adegoke. And thank you for taking our time to join us today. What time is it at Ontario now? In Ontario?
It should be to 5:43.
5:43. Interesting. It's about 10:43 here in the UK. So thank you very much for taking our time, Adegoke. That was amazing. We do appreciate you every single time you come around. All right. So that's Adegoke, sharing his experience and his story as well. Now, what do you need to be like Benga and Adegoke that have been able to get jobs and are doing well within the space? They started out this year, just like you, just like everybody who's going to start without the experience, without the knowledge. You heard Adegoke saying he thought he knew Excel, which is one of the reasons we don't accept people to just join our internship, because people would ask us, oh, can I join the mentorship session alone without joining the program? What we've seen over time is we see people who they join the mentorship alone, and we realize they don't have the skills we thought they had in Excel. They would have touted themselves as experienced, highly excellent in the use of Excel until we give them tasks that they cannot solve. All right. So one of the things you start to see, first of all, is a curriculum that broadens all the areas you need. And this is what it takes. 4 months learning journey. All right. 3 months live classes. After you finish your project-based live classes, you then get to work on the capstone project. All right. The capstone project, like Adegoke mentioned, assesses the skills you've learned in class. You work on the capstone. Once you're done with the capstone, you then join the 1 month internship. So the internship is where you work on projects and then you build a portfolio. Now that portfolio is very, very crucial. That portfolio is what you showcase to recruiters to show the level of work you've done. All right, to show them what you've done within the space. I've worked on this project, that project, and so on and so forth. And they see the depth of the knowledge and skills you have within that area. And irrespective of where you are, you see Adegoke is in Canada, Benga is in Poland, participants from across Europe, Africa. You have a class that fits your schedule. If you're in the UK, if you're in Europe, if you're in Africa, you have a class that fits your schedule on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West Africa time, okay? And on Sunday, you don't have a live class on Sunday. You have Watch Me Do It videos. Now, these videos are self-paced videos that you get to watch on Sunday ahead of the next class on Saturday. All right. So your live class where you have a facilitator, a trainer like myself or any other trainer, that happens on Saturday. And on Sundays, you have the Watch Me Do It videos. Now, if you're in the US or in Canada, just like Adegoke, you also have a time that suits your schedule as well. All right. 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Toronto, Canada time. So that fits into the time zone for that region. So on a typical Saturday, we have 2 classes. One in the morning, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for those in Canada. So I beg your pardon, for those in the UK, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Cameroon, and other regions that fits into that time zone. And later in the day, that same Saturday, we have another session for those who are in the US, who are in Canada, around the same time zone as well. Now, just before, I know a lot of people are asking, oh, how much, what does it take for me to get into class? Just before we get into that, there are 7 key things that you must do, okay, to position yourself to get a job. And Benga mentioned some of them: the interview preparation and referencing, the background checks, and all of those things. And that forms the other 50% of what you need to get a job. Getting a job is not just a technical skill. I'm brilliant in the use of Power BI. That will not get you the job. What gets you the job is how to position yourself. Because guess what? There are 1,000,001 people who are just as good as you are with the use of Power BI. But this is what makes the difference. The other 50%, your CV. You're going to work on your CV. You're going to know how to tailor your CV to job vacancies. So you see a particular job description. How do you tailor your CV to match that job description, leveraging different tools that would help you along the line? Secondly, LinkedIn optimization. Okay, so how do you keep a LinkedIn profile that attracts the biggest and the best organizations across the globe? How do you ensure that you also have your repository, which is every single thing you do as a data analyst, you have them on LinkedIn. If you go to Adegoke's profile, that's how I know what I keep track of what Adegoke has been posting. Every single day he talks about data analytics. Every project he solves, he creates, he posts them on his LinkedIn. And any recruiter would want to see what you talk about. Are you really the data analyst that they say you are? And so on and so forth. Then for those who want to get remote opportunities, you have Upwork optimization. And Upwork is a platform that gives you access to so many jobs remotely. If you don't have a profile, you create a profile. If you have a profile already, we help you optimize that profile. So you can get jobs from the US, from Canada, from Europe, irrespective of where you are. Navigating the job market as well. Okay, so how do you navigate the job market? How do you apply to jobs? Which websites do you need to take note of? How did Benga find the jobs that he found before he applied and got interviews? Benga had 4 offers, and he went for the one that, and when somebody tells you that, look, my salary is fantastic, then you know that salary is fantastic. So of course he went for the one that had the best, perks and benefits at the end of the day. All right. Recommendation and references. I wrote Benga's recommendation and I filled his reference form because the organization would reach out to say, oh, this gentleman has applied and we want somebody who can vouch, who has worked with him, to vouch and say, okay, I've worked with him. Is of good character. These are the skills he deployed while working with us, and so on and so forth. And then the job and interview preparation. All right. So you have an interview. How do you prepare? Okay. So you have somebody to work with you to help you prepare for that interview so that you get the best at the end of the day. You put your best foot forward. You know the type of questions you need to prepare for. And last but not the least is the weekly mentorship session. Now, this session for me, I think, is the best in terms of preparing you for what is out there. Okay, so like Benga said, before he joined Analytics, right from when he has been applying to jobs, is from one rejection to the other, and so on and so forth, right? One of the things you get during the mentorship session is what you need to do as an analyst to get a job. From getting rejections, which is normal. If you start to apply to jobs today, you're likely going to get a rejection. The best of the best get rejections every day. But what you do afterwards is the most important, action to you eventually landing a role? Do you give up and feel bad for yourself, or do you pick up and continue applying and know where you fell short? Okay, did I say something wrong in the interview? You ask for feedback, all right? You know how to negotiate salaries. You know the type of questions you ask during an interview, and so on and so forth. These are the things we prepare you to do. We prepare you for eventually when you get out there during the mentorship session, and it's every week, every single week. Okay, you're going to work on numerous projects. I'm not going to dwell on that because of time. Work on numerous projects so that you build your portfolio at the end of the day. All right. Airline case studies, HR related case studies, and case studies showing how you work with a charity company, helping them identify the best fundraisers they can get within to help them donate money to keep the charity going. All right. Again, you work as a freelancer remotely, depending on what you want to do eventually, depending on your own specific objective. Of course, Benga wanted to get a job in Poland, a job that would give him fantastic salary, and he gets to stay in Poland working as a data analyst, which he was able to do. You get to work with the best in the industry, and that's where that's one of the game changers, how we are different from any other company out there. You work with the best of the best. Efemena, the co-founder, myself, Nene, who is a commercial analytics professional, works with TELUS here in the UK. TELUS is a licensee of Nike. Most of you wear the Nike shoes and so on. So the company that also helps produce some of those shoes and ensures that the company is commercially viable. Nene works with that company. You have Nena, who is a product manager, Obina, who is a data scientist in Canada, and so many other professionals working with the Big Four. Teniola and Abdurrahman work with the Big Four here in the UK. And these are the people that will work with you to help prepare you to become a data analyst. And of course, you have myself, you have Tony, who is a senior data analytics lead at 10 Analytics. You have Mohammed, who's going to prepare Adegoke for his upcoming interview. Mohammed prepared a couple of people who got jobs, and I'm going to share their stories as well at the end of the slide. You have Oladapo. Oladapo works with Deloitte in Bermuda as a senior consultant. He's going to work with you on Excel. When Adegoke talked about Excel, when he got into 10 Analytics and he saw Excel, he knew that he really didn't know much in Excel. Oladapo took Excel end to end from the beginning till the end. And Oladapo is a fantastic, astute professional working with Deloitte. He's going to be one of your facilitators. You have Olubemi as well, who is in Canada as a business data analyst with the Law Depot. He's also going to work with you, helping you navigate the space. What does it cost to be a part of the program? Adegoke in Canada, Benga or John, who is in Poland, who came to speak. £400 if you're paying in pounds, or 320,000 naira if you're paying in naira. Now, we've been having these free sessions over the last few weeks. And for the data analytics program, this is the last free session we're going to have before the next cohort that starts on the 5th of August. All right. So the discount we have available is only going to be available from now till Monday, the 31st of July. All right. So for those of you who have joined our masterclasses, our free sessions from last week, 2 weeks ago, up until this moment, it's time for you to take action. All right. If you want to be a data analyst, you want to get into the space, you still have the opportunity to take advantage of the discount we have available, where instead of paying £400 or 320,000 naira, you get to pay £300, which can be broken in 2 installments of 200 to get into the class and 100 1 month into the program. And if you are paying in naira, instead of paying 320, you get to pay 270, 180 to get into the class, and then 90,000 1 month into the program. You're paying in dollars, US dollars is $400, 300 to get into the class, $100 1 month into the program. And if you're paying in Canadian dollars, 500 Canadian dollars, 350 to get registered. You receive a welcome kit, all the things you need to get started, you have them there, and then 150 1 month into the program. All right. Now, my colleagues are going to be in the comment section. If they're going to send you the links for those who would like to make payments to be a part of the program. And like I said, the discount is only available from now until Monday, the 31st of July, where all discounts will be closed for the program. All right. So for those of you who would love to be a part of the program, start your journey into data analytics from now. Within the next 4 months, you get to join one of the best experiences you've had with regards to learning. Okay. And of course, for those of you who would want to make payments using PayPal, if you're making payments in Canadian dollars or pounds and you want to pay with your card, all you have to do is click on this link. And I'm just going to show you that very quickly. You click on this link, it takes you into where you can enroll into the program. And of course, you also can have access to all the brochures. Okay, if you click on this link, it takes you to all the program brochures. This masterclass is for data analytics. And like I mentioned, this is the last masterclass we are having for data analytics, and the discount also ends on Monday, the 31st. Okay, so if you want to pay in Naira, for example, using your debit or credit card, you can make the full payment or the first installment by clicking on this link. It takes you into Paystack, where all you need to do is select the data analytics program, and you can choose if you want to make the full payment or make the part payments, and then you add to your add to bag, checkout, and make the payment to be a part of the program. All right. If you also want to make payments using PayPal, for those of you who want to make payments in pounds and so on and so forth, all you have to do is follow this link, can make the full payments, the part payments as well for the data analytics program. Okay, all you have to do is you click, okay, and it takes you to where if you want to make the full payment of £300, you can do that. All right, and if you want to make the part payments, first part payment, which is £200, you can also do that. Click on buy now, and then you have access to the program. And once you are done making payments, take a screenshot of your payment receipts or the payment proof and upload it here. Okay, so you just click on this link, it brings you here, and all you have to do, you enter your email, your first name, your last name, the date you made your payment, you attach the file and the payments, the program you paid for, and that's all. Okay, now people would ask the question around, okay, I want to join the data analytics program, but I won't be able to join in August for the class starting on the 5th of August. I would love to join the class starting in September or in October. You can also take advantage of the discount and make payments, and then select when you'd like to have your program. Okay, so you can select August if you want to join the August 5th, or September or October. Okay, so what is most important is taking advantage of the discounts. I'm going to take a pause and I'm going to take questions. And of course, for those who would want to make payments, direct transfer, if you can't make payments using your cards, you can also make payments using a direct transfer by paying in pounds into our account, or by paying in Naira into our Fidelity Bank account. All right. Again, remember the discount ends on the 31st of Monday, on Monday, the 31st of July, 2023. I'm going to share and show you what the platform looks like when you join. What do you get? You get a welcome kit. The welcome kit contains all the materials you need for the program, how to download and install Power BI, PostgreSQL for your SQL class, Tableau, Microsoft Office, and so on and so forth. How do you download them in preparation of the class starting on the 5th of August? So you get the welcome kit, also contains all the materials you need in terms of your lesson plan, when your class would hold, and so on and so forth. Okay, class starts on the 5th of August, and we are starting our journey with fantastic people getting started in data analytics. I'm going to take questions very quickly. Okay, I'm going to take questions very quickly and then would call it a day. Okay, let's take questions. If you have questions, you want to ask your questions by unmuting, please let me know. Just use the raised hand icon. I'll ask you to unmute yourself and then I'll get to hear from you. All right, so this is Benga. Like I said, this Benga. Benga came around to speak already. We have Amaka as well. Amaka is in the UK. Amaka got a job as a business support analyst with one of the council in the UK after joining our data analytics program. Again, just like Benga, I worked with Amaka during her interview. We looked at the different scenarios together, her presentation, which she had to make to the council HR. We looked at it together and then eventually she got the job here in the UK. We also have Stephen Anointing currently got a job as a junior data analyst with the Access Group here in the UK as well. And just like so many people who moved to the UK, taking up jobs like customer care jobs, care jobs, support jobs, and warehouse jobs, and so on and so forth. Stephen was working as a customer care representative, but eventually he joined the data analytics program in February this year, and he was able to land a job as a junior data analyst. And of course, he reached out to me. We had interview preparation sessions, and this is charts where we exchanged materials. I sent him some questions that he could use to prepare, and eventually he got the job. And even when he was sent his laptop, his unpacking of the laptop and everything, he shared that with me. And these are some of the success stories that we have for those who have joined our program. Again, Wislin as well. Wislin joined us last year, October 2022. And this year, sometime around April, Wislin got a job with Shell here in the UK as a sales analyst after joining the program with us, the data analytics program. Again, we have Emeka, who works with the Western Union headquarters as a digital analyst here in the UK. We have Olugbemi, who works as a business data analyst with the Law Depot somewhere in Edmonton, Canada. Also got a job after joining our data analytics program, and so many other success stories. Uthman works with the NHS in the UK. Ubong worked with Cognizant here in the UK. We have Idris Adebisi, who works with Jaguar Land Rover, and so many other people. Again, we'll share the slides with you so you have the opportunity to go through all the single success stories as much as you want. All right. This is Maureen, also working in Canada with TELUS as a HR data analyst after training with us as well. Okay. You also have feedback from people. I would love you to listen to Adebola, listen to Ifoma as well, listen to Collins, listen to Mayowa, listen to Sheila from Ghana, listen to Miriam, listen to Quadri as well, and you get to hear their story, how they started and where they are at the moment. Okay, I'm going to take a pause, like I said, and I'll take questions from a couple of people, and then we'll end the session in the next 5 to 10 minutes. All right, so I'll start with Olua Bukola. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself, Olua Bukola. So please go ahead and ask a question quickly.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Olua Bukola. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I want to ask that the difference between data science and data analytics, because you didn't mention Python. That's, I don't know, is it also going to be included in the class? And then two, my second question is, now some of us that we are coming into tech late, we are like me, I'm 40 plus. Is there hope for somebody like us in the job market of tech? Are they not looking for those people that are younger? I mean, is there any age barrier? You know, is there any reason to fear because some of us are above 40?
All right, very good question.
And we are just learning tech.
Yes, very good question, Olua Bukola. So I'll start with your last question. So first of all, there is no age discrimination. All right. So being 40 or around that range, that's pretty young. Okay. And again, as no recruiter, especially across the major economies in the UK, in Canada, in the US, if you're applying to jobs, if you're in Nigeria, for example, or you're outside Nigeria, you want to look for jobs in those regions. Anybody asking you for your age and things like that, they can easily be sued for discrimination. So that would not happen, first of all. Again, it's a question that has never come up, all right, during my different interactions and interview sessions with some of the major companies across the globe. Nobody would ask you for your age. So that's not a limitation at all. Now, one of the things we've also done is to make the program as beginner friendly as possible. So the assumption is that you know nothing. You are totally new. You've never done this before. All right. So everybody is on the same page right from when the program starts up until when the program ends. All right. So you work together, you get to work on group projects like what Adegoke mentioned when he came up to speak. Okay. So that is not a concern. Age is not a barrier. You being a beginner is actually a very good place to start because you get to learn so much. Okay. And finally, all the skills you need to get a job as a data analyst anywhere in the globe are these 5 skills. Now, when are these 6 skills, I beg your pardon, when Benga came around to speak, he mentioned something. He had always wanted to get a job, but Tableau was the stumbling block. So he gets into an interview and they ask him, do you know Tableau? He says no. Do you know Tableau? He says no. And that was the major reason he decided to join our program, because we offer Tableau for data analytics. And today he got a job as a data analyst. Now, this is what I want to let you know, all right? A lot of people think they need to know everything to be a data analyst. I must know Python. I must know this. I must know that. You don't. All right. And every single person I just showed you, the testimonials, which you get the slides and you still also get to look at them. You don't need Python. They've never worked with Python before as data analysts currently on their current jobs and even before they got the jobs. Okay. So there's a tendency to learn forever. When you look at a job description that says you have Python or it has MongoDB or any other tool, and you then start to wonder that, okay, do I go to learn this? Must I learn this? Must I learn that? You keep on learning and learning forever. So what do you need to do? Very simple, Oluwabukola, and let me help you out. All right. So go online, which I'm going to do very quickly. Okay. I'm just going to check a particular website, read.co.uk, which is one of my favorite websites that I like to check for jobs. And I'm going to search for data analyst. Okay. I'll search for data analyst. So go online and search for jobs. Can I get a job as a data analyst with all the 6 skills Adeza has mentioned today? All right. So let's check a couple. All right. So this was posted 2 days ago. I'm going to open in a new tab. Let's also check this. This is quite old. 23rd of June. Let's see something more recent, 1 week ago. I'm going to open this as well. And let's check. This is also old, but let's just check. Okay. So 3 different roles, data analyst. Okay. Now let's check the requirements, the responsibilities. What do they expect you to have? So this particular role is in London, Southeast in England, of course. What we require from the candidate. I'm going to maximize this if you can see this a bit more clearly. All right. So number 1, data analysis experience. Number 2, Microsoft Suite, in particular, Microsoft Excel, VLOOKUP formulas, create visual reports in Excel or PowerPoint. Any experience in supply chain is an advantage, but not necessary. Stakeholder management, attention to detail. Okay, so these, if you look at this, for example, you have very good Excel skills and Power BI, you are good to go. All right, now let's check another one. Okay, so this is another role between 45 to 55,000 per annum. Okay, and let's look at the skills required. Technical requirements. What do you need? Strong experience with SQL and Excel. Strong experience working with customer analytics, data, ideally some experience working with Power BI, some experience with Power BI, not even strong experience with Power BI. Previous experience providing data-driven business insights. These are the technical requirements for this role, okay? You would also search for some roles and you'd see Python. Those roles are not for you. It's as simple as that. So there are so many roles. Let's look at the third one, for example, and let's see. Okay, so this is another role. As a successful candidate, you must have the following: prior experience in data analytics, whether through coursework, internship, or projects, proficiency in advanced Excel functionalities, including pivot tables, data manipulation, familiarity with BI tools, visualization, such as Power BI or Tableau. Experience is advantageous, which means that if you have Power BI or Tableau, you have an advantage over somebody who doesn't. Basic understanding of SQL, all right, an ability to compose simple queries, excellent communication, and this is all you need for this particular role. So this is how you search for jobs, and this is just showing you something out of the blues. What we do at Analytics is to show you how to apply, where to apply to, and how to find these jobs that would give you the job eventually. So how did Benga get his job, and every other person we've shown you, how did they get their job as well? I'm going to show you what a typical class looks like very quickly while I take more questions. All right. Okay, I'm going to show you. So that's, I hope that answers your question, Oluwabukola, on getting a job. Okay, so I'm going to go to classroom and I'll show you what a typical classroom looks like when you join us at Analytics, okay? So these are a couple of classes, but I'm going to open up the data analytics. So you can see we have data analytics NA, which is North America for those in Canada and in the US, and we have data analytics EU, that's the European time zone, the British summer time, the West African time, and so on. Let's open EU, for example, and let's see. Okay, so I go into the classroom and I click on classwork, all right? Classwork shows me all the things I need, all the things I will get in the classroom, excuse me. So right from the very first day in class, what do you get? You get your onboarding materials, okay? You get your welcome kit. So this is the class that started in July, this July, okay? If you look at the title of the class itself, it says Data Analytics EU Cohort 2307, which is July 2023. Now, if you go to the welcome kit, this is what the welcome kit looks like, which is a document that contains all the things you need, okay? So you'd see myself, you'd see the co-founder of Analytics, both of us welcoming you into the program. If you click on the video, you'd see that. And of course, you have your schedule, and then you have your timetable, which is a lesson plan when your class would hold. Again, if you remember, your problem solving, that's what you start with. Introduction, you do all the problem solving. On Saturday, you have the live class. Sunday, you have your Watch Me Do It. And this is where you download all the applications: Microsoft Office, Tableau, PostgreSQL, how to download and install Power BI. Now, for some of you during the weekend, you might be a little bit busy, you miss a class or two. What happens? Every single class that happens is recorded, just like this session is recorded, and you're going to get the recording at the end of today's session. So from the very first class, problem solving, you have the login details to join the program. You click on the link, it takes you into the class. You have the class slides, the slide I was used in class, and any other material would always be uploaded onto this platform. So this is what the slide looks like. Session was taken by Nene. Nene is, like I mentioned, works with Zelos in the UK. That's an authorized licensee of Nike. She's worked with the Bank of America, with KPMG, and so many other organizations, and will be bringing a lot of experience sharing into the class. Again, someone like Oluwabukola, who is totally new, has never done this before. This is where you start from. Your first class is problem solving, and you start with what? What is data? Okay, so you're not going to jump into creating stuff like we did today. Today is just to show you the power of Power BI. You start with what is data, and then you move types of data, what is data analytics, types of data analytics. You understand all these concepts before you even move into Excel. So as a beginner, you have your hands will literally be held until you are done. Okay, so Microsoft Excel class 1, which is the watch me do it, and then you have your very first session on Excel. Okay, you have your mentorship sessions as well. Okay, so for this cohort that started on the 1st of July, on the 6th of July, they had their first mentorship session. And again, the classes are all recorded. So the mentorship session, you see the session recording, the link to the recording. For the problem solving class, you also have the class recording. So if you miss the class, all you have to do, come in here, click on the link, open up the recording, and then you have access. You can watch anytime you want. If you have questions after watching, you have Joan. You can see Joan in class. You have Joan, you reach out to Joan, and Joan would provide you with anything you need to get results. Anytime you send a WhatsApp message when you join the WhatsApp group, or you send a message into the Slack channel and somebody would respond to you. All right. Again, we have, so this is the class, the first Excel live class. You have another mentorship session that held. You have Excel class 2, the recordings, everything, the class exercise. They're all there for you just in case you missed out on the class that happened live. All right. And again, if you have an interview, like Benga mentioned, just come onto the platform and do what? Click to book your interview session. All right. So if I click on this link, it takes me to where I'm going to book my interview. All I need to do is select a date. All right. I select a date, select my time, click on next, and then enter my name, my email. I share the details of the interview that I have, and I get my interview. I get an automated link for it to a Zoom session, and I have my interview booked. So you have everything for you in the Google Classroom. So this is the class that happened, the class recording. You have access to this recording and you can watch it anytime. And this is Nene facilitating the class itself. Okay. So this is what the platform looks like. And something I just quickly want to show. This is the cohort that started in July. If I click on people, we have 48 students in this class. All right. Only 20 took advantage of the discounts, all right? 48 students, and this is just for the EU, okay? So if we go to the North America, you have a couple of other people. So in total, you have a sizable number that registers, close to 100 people. Between those that register in North America, which will be in a different class, those are registered across the EU, West Africa time zone, also have their own specific class as well. And all the sessions are project-based. You get to work on projects. And that's what helps you at the end of the day with regards to you showcasing the skill that you have. Midnight on Monday, the deadline ends, the deadline for the discount. Can one also get a high-paying remote job after the course? Those who do not, absolutely, Linda. And that's part of the things you'd get to do when you have your Upwork optimization, all right? Where do you apply to remote jobs and how do you apply to remote jobs? One of the major websites, and I'm going to give you this for those who would love to start, is Well-Found. There are two major websites, okay? Well-Found. So just search for Well-Found, all right? Wellfound.com and also remote.co. Remote. That's apart from Upwork. Apart from Upwork, you have, sorry, let me see, remote, yes, remote.co. Okay. So you have Well-Found. Well-Found is fantastic when it comes to remote jobs. And this is simply because you have, so find your next job. This is simply because you have startups that have distributed employees across the globe. They post, job adverts in here. Okay, you have Airbnb, Stripe, Netflix, Zapier, and so many other jobs. All you have to do is come and check, and you'd see the jobs. Of course, you have to register with them. So when you register, you log in, you click on login, and then you have access, and you can search for jobs across and apply to remote jobs, and also remote.co as well. Here you can also find remote jobs easily at remote.co. And these are some of the things would work with you to help you I can't see anybody. Okay, so Beams, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Question, Beams. Go ahead, Beams.
Okay, hi. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
All right. Okay, so I recently got a role that is business analyst, and they use tools in the organization like Azure DevOps, which I'm familiar with. But then they also use diagramming tools like Figma, Visio. Yeah. Looking at your content, I would like to ask, because I've seen what you said this course covers, do you what's the right word now? Do you sort of ensure that the content is tailored to individual preferences? Because now, yes, I think I need to know a bit of Power BI as well, but would I have a content that really speaks to what my need is, or is one size fits all? I don't know if that's
all right. So, yeah, so from what I hear you say, Beams, you're talking of a business analysis role, not data analyst, all right? So a business analyst is totally different from a data analyst. So what a business analyst does is a business analyst serves as the bridge between the business and the development team, okay? So you're going to automate processes, optimize processes, and you need to use tools that would help you eventually do that, all right? And in the process of automating processes, you need to come up with applications and software that will be built by developers and so on and so forth. So in doing that, you understand project initiation planning. You would understand Microsoft Visual, like you said, to create wireframes and to create process maps, as well as draw.io that would also do that, all right? You'd understand how to use Confluence and Jira to track and manage tasks and projects and so on and so forth. However, as a data analyst, you're not bothered with all of that. That's the business analyst role. The data analyst is bothered and saddled with the responsibility of getting data from where the data is, which is likely going to be a database or wherever the data is, analyzing that data and coming up with insights, recommending solutions to solving the problem based on the insights gotten from the analysis, and to analyze the data, interacting with the environments that warehouses the data in the first place, which is a database. You need to understand SQL or SQL, all right? You need to know how to use Excel, Power BI, Tableau, ChatGPT for analytics, and all the things I mentioned, okay? We have a business analysis program, all right? And if you click on the link that I shared with you earlier, you'd also have access to all the brochures for the programs, okay? So if I go back to that link very quickly here, okay, and I click on get access to all program brochures, you'll see the business analysis brochure, and you can take a look at it and see all the programs. We offer 7 different programs across different areas. Today's masterclass is on data analytics, and which I've explained all the skills that you need. And all what we do for individual programs, the business analysis, like you mentioned, is to work with you to ensure that at the end of the day, you meet your own personal objective for joining the program, which is, I want to get a job as a data analyst in any respective region that you find yourself. I don't know if that helps to answer your question, Beams. But a data analyst role is totally different from a business analyst, totally different, okay? Okay, I'm going to take Emmanuel. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. All right, good evening. My name is Emmanuel. Although one of my questions has been answered already, I was basically asking about the timing. For some of us, our work schedule might not allow us meet the live sessions for Saturday. So you already said that it will be recorded and we would have access to it. So my second question is it possible if based on our location, we already start based on, for example, data analyst as for Nigeria location, probably for us to still join the Canada time zone if we're able to meet up with the timing, or will it affect your planning from your hand?
All right, very good question. So again, we always advise that you stick to one time zone, all right? And the reason is because you have two facilitators or two trainers rather, okay? You'd have two trainers, and in some cases where you have the same trainer, then that's fine. But else, you could have two trainers, and let's assume you're meant to cover A to E in class, okay, for the morning class, and they covered A to D. And then your previous class for the evening class, which is maybe the North America time zone, they did not cover up to A to D. They have gone past that, or they haven't gotten to that particular point. You can start to struggle in class with catching up on some key areas. So what we always advise is if you start with a particular time zone, it will be preferable that you stick to that time zone, except you have some extenuating circumstances that would require for us to look at, okay, you need to join this, the next class because of X, Y, Z, and so on and so forth. So it's actually to your own benefit and not, not like we can't make the arrangement for you. We can always do that. But again, the classes might move at different paces, and you might have to play catch up eventually when that happens, if that makes sense to you. Okay. All right. I'll take from Tola. Tola, please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So my question is, I already paid for the program, and then I'm trying to download all the applications. So my question now is, do we have to buy like a specific kind of laptop data? Because I already have a laptop, but I realized that I have some videos that have some files in it, but it cannot it won't accept all the other applications. I already downloaded Microsoft 365, but I'm on Tableau, and then it started acting up saying I don't have enough storage. So what's your advice? Do I just get a bigger laptop that has this bigger storage, or try to transfer all the files that I have on my present laptop? I don't know. So that's the dilemma right now. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome, Tola. So what I think you need to do is you don't need a big laptop to use your words for data analytics itself. So what I'll suggest is if you have movies, you have different videos like you mentioned on your computer, which would have taken up all the space, you can put that in a drive. If you have a drive, an external drive, all right, just copy them out. Okay, so you have space, because some of these applications will take some space if you have maybe about 250 gigabytes, 500 plus gigabytes, I think 512, 256, that'll pretty much do. 256 is fine actually for you to do all the things you need to do, even 128, right? But again, if you already have the space occupied with other things, then it means you have to find a way to move them into an external drive or any other drive so you can install the applications you'll be using in class. And if you have an 8 gigabyte RAM computer, that's fine. All right, and anything from 256 gigabytes drive, which is disk space, that's also fine. And I mean, it could be a Core i5, Core i3, Core i7, and of course, if it's a Core i7, it means it's a lot faster, and so on and so forth. So you don't need a high-end computer, so to speak. If you have a medium system, that's good. You are good to go. just address the issue of the space by copying things out into other places. All right. And if you have questions, are you in the WhatsApp group already, Tola?
Yes, I am.
All right. If you're in the WhatsApp group, you can drop questions in there. Okay.
Okay.
Somebody
Okay.
would attend to you and work with you to help you resolve that. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to take my last question, and I think we'll call it a day, or maybe my last two questions from Abiola and Pelumi. So Abiola, please go ahead very quickly.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Abiola.
Yeah, thank you for the insighting session. So recently, I just finished my data analytics course. So I was hoping if I can jump on the mentorship session.
Sorry, when you say just finished, you mean with us?
No. I just saw the analytics on Instagram, then I followed up.
Okay. So you mean your master's, that's what you mean?
No. I registered with a particular tech
okay.
institution.
Okay. All right. So I think I answered that question earlier. Now, the reason why we don't do just mentorship for people is simply because we cannot vouch for the skills you've learned. Now, if you learned with us, it's easy for us to know where you are. Okay, this is what you can do. And I'll give you a very typical scenario. All right. There was this gentleman who said, look, I am very, very good. I've worked as a data analyst. I've done this, I've done that. Excel is bread and butter to me. I just want to work on the projects that you have, your capstone project, the project for the classes. And he paid the full amount for the program. Okay. We gave him the first project he couldn't solve, the second project he couldn't solve, the third project he couldn't solve. At the end of the day, he had to go back to joining the program itself, starting with Excel all the way through till the end. Okay, so we want people who have joined our program, all right? So even if you want to access the mentorship, it's fine. But again, we need to be able to vouch for your skills. So it would make the platform available to you with regards to Excel, Power BI, SQL, every single thing. And then you also get to be a part of the mentorship sessions every week. So all you need to do is make payments to be a part of the program. All right, but there is no standalone mentorship or standalone project or standalone this. So if you want to be a part of that, you still have to pay for the full program to take advantage of that. Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome, Abiola. All right, so the final question for today, I'll take from Pelumi, and then we'll call it a day. Pelumi, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity, sir. God bless you. So my question is, according to the list of what will be taught, because I have registered already, I'm already in the group. Okay, so I want to ask if we will be eligible to learn some skills apart from those ones you've highlighted, probably alphanumeric, because while trying to look for some jobs online, I saw some experience or specialization that was indicated. So I don't know if we'll be able to have we'll be eligible, or we'll have the what's it called? The access to learn some things that are not listed in this particular course. Thank you.
Right. Can you give an example of the skills you? Yeah.
I saw the specific specialization, alphanumeric, data analysis software also, and that's for the computer and technology knowledge. Yeah, that's all. Most especially that I'm actually seeing alphanumeric, keystroke, something like that, keystroke per hour, something. That's all.
Oh,
thank you very much.
All right, Pelumi, I think I have an idea of what you mean, which, if I get you right, it's related to the metrics or the KPIs you would use to track businesses and also analyze and see where a business is at a particular point in time in terms of performance and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, what we do for those who join the data analytics program is you have broad skills around different areas. So the type of projects you would work on is not limited to a specific area. So let's take, for example, as a data analyst, you can apply to a job that says commercial analyst. Why? You look at the job requirements and see the key skills required and see if you fit into that role. In addition, you would have also worked on several data sets with relation to transactions and sales and optimizing sales performance and so on and so forth. So that helps you understand how to, work with companies in a commercial department. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you'd work on health-related data. Okay, so you have never worked in the health sector, for example, but you'd start to understand by reading the case study, understanding what you need to do in this particular scenario to answer questions around alcohol-related death across the globe. What is the cause of alcohol-related death? Who is more susceptible to dying by due to alcohol based on the data that exists, historical data that exists, and so on and so forth. So rather than focusing on a specific area, you'll be working on a broad range of projects. And that gives you diverse knowledge across different subject matter. Okay. Again, if the question is not very clear, but other skills that probably are not listed here that you'd also learn are your presentation skills, okay? Because all the projects you're going to work on, the group projects, individual projects, you do presentations. You're going to present your findings, right? So you'd find yourself in scenario and situations where you will be compelled to speak. So people who are scared of public speaking, or I can't talk in front of people, you start to overcome that fear. And even during your interview preparation, and I think this is the last thing I'll share with you, overcoming stage frights by garnering interview experience. I'm going to share something we did recently during the mentorship session, where we brought somebody who was preparing for an interview. Okay, it was a simulation. So we simulated an interview session where over 300 people were on the call, and somebody was answering questions based on answering questions I was asking, and the co-founder was also asking. So I'll show you that very quickly. I think I'll find that here, and then you get to see how you build your skills, overcome stage fright, build your interview experience, so that when you get questions like that, and just like what Benga said, the questions would always seem like, oh, Adeza must have seen the questions they were going to ask me. But that's not the case. But because I've spent so many years within the industry, it's easy for me to understand and know the type of questions you're likely going to get when you get into an interview, looking at the job description alone, okay? So let's look at this very quickly, and we're going to end with this. So this is a lady who found herself in that position. We simulated an interview scenario that involved her answering questions. She had sent us the job description, sent us her CV, just as if she had applied for that role. And we asked questions based on the job description. And I would love you to hear from her, okay? And hear the questions she was asked and how she responded to them. And I think we're going to end our session with that, okay? So just give me 1 second. I'll try to see where we have specific questions. Let me see, okay? I'm not sure this is the video. Let me see, just give me 1 second, please. Okay, yes, this is it, all right? So I'm gonna play it now. And I hope you can hear. So I want you to confirm that you can hear my audio. So I'm going to play it. If you can hear the audio, just type in yes into the chat. I'm bringing in somebody that can help me optimize my sales. Okay, so you can hear, fantastic. All right, so let me see. Okay, I'm not sure this is the video. This is a different mentorship, I believe. All right, just give me 1 second. I think that was the one on the 13th. The one on the 13th of July. I want you to actually listen to this based on the question Pelumi asked. So you get to see how people are prepared for what comes ahead of them. Okay. Yes, I think this is it. All right. So I'm just going to scroll to where we have specific questions and answers. Let me see, 29, I think somewhere around here. Yes.
Based on this data that I was able to pull from Tableau.
All right, fantastic, Lola. Okay, so your role as a senior Tableau, I would also involve the heavy use of SQL. You'd work with databases, you'd work with data warehouses, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I'm not looking at your CV. I can't see extensive use of SQL across your different work experience. So do you want to share some projects you've worked on using SQL as a major skill to solve that problem? Now, while you're answering that, the follow-up question would be, the role also involves a lot of optimization because you work with a very large data warehouse. So while you give us examples of the projects you've worked on, I also want you to talk about how you have optimized SQL queries, okay, to improve the performance and efficiency. So your application of SQL and also optimizing your queries to improve performance and efficiency. So just walk us through that, please.
Okay, I've been using SQL now for quite some time. I started using SQL since my university days. As a former student of system engineering and informatics, SQL was like one of the major it was one of the major courses I had to take part in.
Okay, so I'm just going to move it again because so we get to hear a set of other questions, right?
All right, Lola, well done so far. Thanks a lot for taking our time to do this. Okay, so your role as a Tableau developer with the company is going to involve you working with different stakeholders within the business. All right, and obviously you working with different people, it means that you would need to sell your ideas to different stakeholders. Now, I want you to just, tell me about a time, you worked with, you created a report, okay? And the stakeholder you were presenting to didn't buy in on your analysis. Tell us what happened and how were you able to handle the situation?
Okay, there was this time when my team and I were told to work on a project relating to relating to software installation.
Okay, so I'm just going to pause at that point, all right? Because time is fast spent and we're going to call it a day at this point, all right? So that is Lola, who is in Czech. She lives in Czech Republic, answering questions that helped her prepare for roles she had upcoming. Again, this was a session where we had over 300 people in class. It was a mentorship session. So while Lola was answering, she was bold enough to step forward and take the hot seat, answering questions. I was asking, Efemena, the co-founder, was asking. She built and was able to build her interview experience. Other people also learned from the exercise by getting to watch the whole experience of how she answered questions, the type of questions that were asked, and how she approached, and the feedback that we gave eventually. So these are some of the things you learn during the interview session, okay? Even though it is not clearly outlined in the brochure or anywhere else on any of the materials, just like the question Pelumi asked initially, okay? So again, I want to thank everybody. How can we get those interview videos? The interview videos are on the Google Classroom. So when you join the program, you have the classroom and every single thing. That's a mentorship session that I held on the 13th of July. Okay, so you have access to all your materials. So I'd like to say thank you very much, guys, for those who joined and stayed till this time. Of course, we've spent a lot of time on the call. If you want to get into analytics, you've always wanted to do this, this is the best time for you to do that and join us, starting your journey with us on the 5th of August. If you have friends, you have families, brothers, sisters, cousins that you think can benefit from this, also share it with them and let them start their journey into something amazing in the year 2023. So thank you very much, guys. Again, the discount ends on Monday, and this is the last masterclass we're going to have in the month of July for the data analytics program. So if you'd love to join, this is the best time for you to do that. The recordings will be sent to you as long as you filled the attendance sheet. You're going to get the recording, you'll get all the materials we've used today, and you can go ahead and build what I've shown you how to build. We have programs every single month. From January, we've held programs every month up until this month. So we have another program. The program for July started on the 1st of July, and the one for August will start on the 5th of August. September starts on the 2nd of September. But one thing I'll guarantee is the price you see in August, the price you see in July for the program in August is going to change in September for so many reasons, including majorly the exchange rate fluctuations here and there. The price is going to change in September. So this is a very good time for you to be a part of the program. All right. So thank you very much, guys. See you on the 5th of August. Again, always follow us across all our platforms, social media, from LinkedIn to Instagram to Facebook to Twitter. We'll always post free sessions, free materials like this, where you get to learn one or two things. Have an amazing week. It's very close to the weekend. Have an amazing weekend ahead as well. Until we see in another session. Cheers, guys.